What's up, New England and beyond?
What's up,
Tommy, Shea Hood, and myself in the Room Podcast, bringing you the Room Podcast on this awesome Wednesday night. What's up, Tommy?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing well, buddy.
Nice to see you.
We had 2 big days of rain that just flooded the Providence area, man.
Good storms up where I'm at too yesterday.
Yeah, really. Where were you from?
I'm out in Mansfield, so we were just getting nailed.
Where are you getting? I was in Newport yesterday.
Oh, nice.
I left the rain here, went to Newport, and there wasn't rain in there.
Perfect.
It was like a bubble around us. There was clouds everywhere, and then just.
Probably some nice views.
It was very nice there. It was very nice.
Newport's
nice
beautiful.
breeze. It wasn't humid. It was like 82. I took it. I stayed there all night. Basically walked around, had a couple of beers.
That's prime weather right there. 82, not so humid.
Yeah. We just had rain for a couple of days. We had a drought.
The world needs a sip.
Exactly. So before we start going here, we have Rick Caldwell from Combat FC on tonight.
How
He's
are our
gonna be-
levels doing? I'm not seeing any bouncing around right
that's
there.
because
Looking all
way
right.
down
Yeah. Okay.
here.
Good. Yeah.
I'm
I just
sorry.
we didn't level in earlier. I just wanted to
we
make
did.
sure.
we,
you know.
we didn't check our levels tonight because I think we kind of got them right now.
Yeah.
The band's not playing.
No. Yeah. If it's the same thing every week, then might as well.
Yeah. So tonight we have on Rick Caldwell from Combat FC. He's going to be talking about their next card coming up October 21st at the Shriners Auditorium. They had their first card. I forgot the date. We'll recap that with him because I have some footage of that,
He'll know.
of the fights on that. It was a great card. It was aired on UFC Fight Pass.
Oh, yeah.
And Joe Cav and Rick pulled off a great card for the first time.
Good.
You would think there would be some hiccups. There probably were, and some in the
Maybe not
what we
visible to
didn't
us.
see.
Yeah, exactly.
But the feed, the feed looked great. The production that Randy Costa doing commentary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so a New England guy there.
Sure.
in
Yeah.
the
I didn't see
UFC.
that card. So.
Yeah, so it's great. They have a lot of videos out now. I think
all
on
over YouTube.
Instagram. So the big highlights and stuff. We're gonna be playing some of that when Rick is on.
Cool.
Later, but you know what? I'm gonna check the levels because I am a little paranoid now.
Now that I mentioned it.
Yeah, we're all right.
Yeah. Good. I can see it now.
All right. So, well, let me shut something off to get to the next page because, but I just want to show a couple of posters before.
Looks like your chat right there. Oh.
Yeah, I gotta shut it off. So anyway,
Private messages.
we
What?
have no. That's where I'm calling.
I
from.
know.
So we have Cage Titans this
Oh, yeah.
weekend.
Yep, Saturday.
So tomorrow they have press conference at noon. Thursday, and then Friday they have weigh-ins usually around 1 o'clock.
Time. Yeah. I was just training with some guys.
Yeah, and then you got a couple of dudes fighting on there,
Yep,
man.
they're getting ready, man. They're ready to bang.
You want to give them a little shout
Oh, yeah.
out?
Yeah,
little
Kyle and
support?
Shane, man. You know I've seen you. I saw you tonight. Wish you luck. Can't wait to watch you on Saturday. I have my uttermost confidence in both those guys. They're animals.
Well, Shane did fight for a title in his last
Yeah,
fight, didn't he?
He didn't get the title, but
No, but he did
another
fight
good-
for
yeah.
one.
Oh yeah,
Which means he's
he's good.
he's good.
Yeah,
he's a good
yeah,
dude.
he's good. He's a muscle man. And Kyle, it's his debut, and he's a young dude who's got a long career ahead of him. I would imagine. He's a great teacher, and I'm just looking forward to seeing my guys bang on Saturday.
Excellent. I know Kyle from grappling
Yep.
at Cage Titans. He was in Super Grappling
Exactly,
matches
yep.
and the team match.
Team
with,
one, yeah,
those-
exactly, which is pretty cool.
When one guy from CMB, I don't know what it was, took like out 4 of the.
Yeah.
He was like.
They were talking about
huge.
how the order maybe could have been adjusted a little
Yeah.
bit, but what are you gonna do?
Of course.
Yeah,
So,
after the fact.
huge night for Cage Titans Saturday night,
Yep.
and like I said, Thursday they have a whole half week of shit going on. So I'm not sure who will be on this press conference, but I'm sure there'll be some fireworks
I was watching a little bit of the table talk with those guys.
on Monday.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty good. With their media guy Nick.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy, and Mike. I mean, they do it every week. So, and
Yeah.
they went over the whole card, correct?
Yeah. And they were talking about the production and all the fun stuff. So it's good. They got a well-oiled machine over there.
Excellent. Well, also on Saturday, which I will not be at Cage Titans.
Right.
I will be at the Ironman Grappling Championships. I didn't know the date, and I was asked for this before.
Yeah, we were talking about
yeah.
that, and that'll be a great one too.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of former, like retired MMA guys, and a lot of guys that are fighting, at CES maybe in the crowd there, watching their teammates grapple. So it's going to be great. I'm going to get some interviews there.
Absolutely. And then the other New England MMA guys will be at Cage Titans.
Yes,
so.
Travis and Lars will be at Cage Titans.
so.
I'm sure Travis will be doing a card preview coming out in a couple of days. Lars will be there, and Travis always does a live play-by-play.
Which is really good, too.
Yeah.
That's good. I watch that, too.
Brendan Boats, who's also part of our New England MMA, he might be doing something there. He's friends with all the fighters. He's fought for Cage Titans. Cool. He's wrote a few articles for us as far as for gym perspectives. Like he goes to a gym and he interviews kind of like the gym atmosphere, not just one guy specifically.
That's a cool angle.
Yeah, so he travels around here and there when he has time. He's a busy dude.
Yeah, everyone gets excited when it's Cage Titans week. So
yeah, so kudos to them. So I will be here. I want to give them a little shout out. Their event starts at 4. Doors open at 4. The event starts at 5. It'll probably go to 8 o'clock. So on my drive home, I'm going to be watching the Cage Titans stream. I would imagine.
Listening, right?
Yeah, watching. Yes. Well, I can watch. People watch.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know?
All right, yeah. Thanks for covering for me,
speaking
brother.
to the mic, sir. You know?
I'll be coming all the way from Bristol, Connecticut. It's like an hour and 40-minute drive.
Okay.
So I'll probably watch 3/4 of the card
the whole way.
on my way home.
You can commentate on the way.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe I'll talk shit. I'll be messaging Lars
camera.
and Travis.
Oh, so
here and
driving, messaging. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I do it all. I'll probably be eating a pizza and drinking
delivering
a beer,
mail, delivering mail at the same time.
So that is
Pizza,
them. So, like I said, we're gonna have. What time is it right now? About 6 minutes or so. We're gonna have Rick call in. He's never called into the show before. I've never spoken to Rick before, just online. So we're gonna pick his brain about how he started with Joe Cav back at WFC. They started in 2007, and we have all pictures here of some
Refresh
laughs
our
from the
memory.
past.
Yep.
But one thing I want to cover.
Was that midget fight?
Yes, I'm throwing midget fighting up there. Nice call, motherfucker.
I was waiting for it.
So where is my Instagram? So let me get that posted down. So I was at a special place. Let me get where's my Instagram?
I've been waiting to talk to you about this one.
I got to go to my page. So where are we? Why doesn't it just pop up?
You think it was your own?
You know what I mean?
Maybe since it is your own, they don't think you're looking at it. Unless you're really vain, I can barely see from training and sweating my eyes today.
You all right? Oh.
Yeah, just blurry,
Yeah, well, yeah, you have like a layer of goop.
Yeah, I took
like
a shower.
Pond scum.
Oh,
on
yeah,
your face.
I take a shower before I come here.
So let me get this going right here, and then we'll have Joe Cav on right after. Where's guest capture? There we are. So right here.
Oh, boy.
Dudes. Like, is there sound? Where's sound? This is the Royal Rumble, dude.
Oh, wow. These guys are fit.
Yeah.
Moving.
Dude, this was amazing.
So this is the end of the...
This is
they
the
keep
end.
coming
This was
in,
the
right?
last fight.
Nope.
Them two guys were fighting, and everyone came into the ring.
Oh, my God.
Killing everybody.
Oh, my God.
Dude, I was front row. It was great. The place was fucking packed.
Was it jamming?
It was packed.
Nice.
It was awesome.
They're good. And these guys are put on a good show, right?
Oh yeah, and here comes Tiger flipping over the ring.
Oh my
Look
God.
at this.
Oh,
This
he's got
guy
the-
was legit, dude.
Oh, yeah?
He was flipping everywhere. And then they go into the crowd. The crowd was into it. It was fucking
I saw.
nuts.
So they have some regular sized people
They
wrestling
had
too.
two regular
yeah,
sized
okay, I
people,
saw that.
so they were really cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you get tired of the dwarfs, you know what I mean?
Now,
See how I have said
do the
dwarfs?
regular sized people fight the dwarfs?
Yes.
Nice.
They're in there.
They're in
Royal
there.
Rumble.
They're doing it
gonna
right
beat the
now.
Shit out of all of
Oh
them.
my God! Yeah, right. They
look.
would win. You'd
So
think.
wait a minute. Like, where are we? So these were the two regular sized people just
Okay.
fighting.
Okay.
Like, look at
When they're fighting
Yeah,
small
they
people.
choreographed. These guys have been
of course.
fucking running around with each
Yeah,
other
they're
for
on
a
tour.
long time.
Yeah,
Look
they're
at
on tour. That's cool.
that. I got to get you to the last guy. I don't think. Hopefully I don't get kicked off of Facebook. Look at this.
Oh wow. Good form
This guy was jacked for a fucking dwarf,
for
dude.
a little guy.
Cool. This is gonna bring us right up to Rick. Is anyone watching this shit? This is fucking awesome. Come on. Rada. I added
This
this
is good.
song, too.
Was the place jamming or what?
Yes,
Yeah.
watch when he jump. Oh, maybe it shuts off. Oh, I had him scanning the crowd after
yeah.
after he did this because he jumped up on the ropes and shit.
That's high up.
Yeah,
man.
in the bigger video, yeah, dude,
That's funny.
that was some good shit.
Good entertainment.
It
Good.
was
Good for those
fucking
guys. Yeah, putting on a good show.
awesome, bro.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And you had a good time.
I had a great time. And yeah, people love that shit.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
my friends were messaging me on Messenger.
Sure.
Like they don't necessarily. Nobody comes on my Facebook page and like talks on it. They all message me on
Yeah,
Messenger.
of
You
course.
know what I mean?
And then you
They
talk
don't want to
about
be
it.
seen on my Facebook page like they like me.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? They're all
just random
messaging me in the
people and stuff.
background.
Yeah, it's
fucking
like saying people with all my weed posts and stuff. You know, I get. Not a lot of people like it, but I know they are.
But they're all over
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Tell you
They'll
I've
hit me
seen
up
it.
on the message.
Dude, what kind of shit was
Yeah,
that?
exactly. Right. Keep it up. Keep it up.
It's fucking awesome. All right, let me what happened here? Let me message Rick and see what's going on.
Yes, sir.
Ready. And when I get him on, I'm gonna play a highlight video of the co-main of their inaugural Combat FC 1. It was the same night as CES. I think it was like in July.
Okay. This year.
Yeah. So we'll wait for Rick to answer. But like I said, Rick has been with the company since I believe it started in 2007. He is friends of Joe Cav. I don't know what his capacity was back then, but now he's the matchmaker and he does so many other things for them. So
Yeah.
who knows what's
important.
going on with Rick here? Let's see. Let's
I think
see
he
if
said ready
Rick
to go.
is on. Let me see. Let me get him on. And let me put that promo video on. No, he wasn't sure. He wasn't sure if he was going to connect. So we'll see. They can't hear it. Oh, they can hear it.
So the answer is.
Oh, there he is. Oh, right. He should pick up here. Why is it? All right.
Get rid of it.
He should try. I'm gonna have him call me. So let me get back here. I'll have him call me.
A little technical difficulty, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
that's what happens when you're live. But
Yep.
yeah, something's going on over there.
You never know.
I told him to
Days of
call
Zoom
me,
call.
see what happens. I don't know if he has to have the message. There it is.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. There he is. What's up, my friend?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great, bro. I just got to fit you in my template. You are actually live right now, but they can't see you yet. So I'm going to make you look perfect in there, and then we'll set you up. Rick, have you been watching the show at all since we started?
Yeah, you had the dwarf wrestling going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that I partaked in that and went to that, or did you just know by watching now?
So you partake in dwarf wrestling?
Well, I was part. I was part of the crowd. Bro. They were. Where'd it go?
Oh, okay. So that's different. I
Well,
thought you were like,
they actually landed
They
on my
actually
lap,
doing it.
and I had to throw them back into the cage, into the ring, actually.
That's
No,
incredible.
you don't see it. I didn't post them kind of videos because they were so close, but these dudes were actually landing on my lap. It was something of something
That's
really.
crazy.
It was almost
Arousing?
it was almost arousing. I was
Wow.
part of the show. And then they were so light, I could you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Pick
right.
them up a little bit, help
Sure.
them out of my lap and shit.
Rub 'em on the
but
head.
dude, the place was so packed. Like everyone was helping them up. It was
Sure.
great. I had like 3 guys next to me, and they're falling on them.
Couldn't
But,
wait to grab them.
dude, I highly recommend going to Extreme Dwarf Wrestling. I've tried to get.
that's actually what it's called?
It's called Extreme Dwarf Wrestling. They are from. I think they're all from the South. They were making their way to Texas, hitting every city, every state on the way to Texas up until October. So they're busy, dude. Rick, they had like 300 people. 300 people in an arcade paying $40 for front row and $20 for standing room. There had to be about 300 people in that money. These midgets are making bank, dude.
I bet.
Making bank. Dude, you should listen. Maybe invite one of them. Have one of them have a fight in one of these next events you got coming up, bro.
Dwarf MMA.
Yeah. Have him fight at 125 right now.
Well, dude, two regular sized guys were coming in and they were fighting the midgets. They had the two regular sized guys that were throwing around like rag dolls. It was awesome. So
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
wrong.
you could have like a regular MMA guy take on like 7 midgets. It'd be awesome. So, well,
Yeah, we'd have to do it on like an Indian reservation.
On a boat.
well, last week we talked a little bit about it, and Tommy said I can't call them midgets, but I did message Tommy saying that on a lot of their fight shirts, they
say
said
it?
I'm the toughest midget
Okay.
in this place. So
Good.
they're calling themselves it. So I would imagine.
Well, they can say it. You can't.
Come on, and
Yeah,
we really
they
like
can
that.
say it.
I'm sorry, we're getting totally off subject here. Rick Caldwell, man, welcome to the show for the first time, man. Pleasure meeting you. This is actually the first time I'm seeing you face to face.
Yeah, I think it is actually.
Oh well,
Absolutely.
well,
Happy to be here.
excellent. I talked to Lars a lot about you because he's mentioned that he's on the phone here and there. You matchmake for Combat FC. He says you probably do so many other things there, but as we know, Lars does full contact management. So, he's got to talk to you. Try to get a couple of fighters of ours on there. So, Rick, how did you get involved in fighting, man? You've been around like forever, I would say, in MMA in New England. Talk about how you got started and where you got started and all that.
So I actually just started training years ago. We're going back, now it's probably 20 years ago. There was nowhere near my house at the time. I was living in I can't remember if at that point I was in Lowell or if I was in Drake, but either way, they're right next to each other. And there was nobody near me at all. So the closest place I could go was Dragon Lair in Framingham. So it took me like 45, 50 minutes to get there, a similar amount of time to get home. So yeah, I was training at Dragon Lair in Framingham for a while, and I happened to meet like one of the guys that was training there, and was also there wasn't always like a clear pecking order of like who was an instructor and who wasn't. It was kind of like, either Mario was running a class, or it was like whoever else that was there that was good ended up running the class if Mario wasn't there that day. So it was like, so I don't know if I want to call him one of the instructors or not, but a guy who did do a lot of training and teaching there was a guy named Mark Grabowski. And Mark was the guy who started Mass MMA way back when. And Mark is actually, a lot of people don't actually don't know who he is and don't realize that it was Mark that started that. A lot of people think that, the website, like it was run by Joe Lozon and I for a long time. So they kind of looked at it like Joe and I started the website, but we basically took it over when Mark was too busy to deal with it. And then we ended up making Northeast MMA. And, Chris Richard, Biggie was a part of it.
Now,
then as well.
let me ask you a question, Rick. When you were doing this, were you like, were you the tech guy? Like who was managing actually the website to, keep it rolling?
So initially it was Mark. And so Mark he's one of the smartest guys. Like if you meet the guy, like he's just one of those dudes who's good at everything. Like he's, he was 6 foot tall. He was, probably 220 pounds, jacked, good looking guy, wrestled D1 in college, like ridiculously good Muay Thai, great jujitsu. Like he was just good at fucking everything. And he was like a vice president of sales at Yahoo.com.
Oh, so smart dude.
In his
then,
20s.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
he was just one of those guys where it's just like, Jesus, like what are you shitty at? Like there was just he knew how to do everything.
Hate those guys.
He was like, and even now, like he's a vice president at Oracle, running some group there, and he runs marathons and shit, and he's got like he's good at fucking. I don't know how to say it other than that. I think he was a bodybuilder at one point.
You got a man crush on this guy? What's going?
Well, no, I'm just saying he's one of those guys that like when you meet him, it's just like he gets involved in so many things, and like. He puts all his time and attention into this thing, and then that's gone. Like he obsesses about it. Like when I say he was a bodybuilder, like when we were working on some website stuff at his house one time, like I'm talking like they put on the fake tan and they're doing he's got trophies and shit. Like So he was like a legit bodybuilder, and then he didn't want to do bodybuilding anymore. So then MMA was the obsession, right? And then it's, and then when he starts running and he's running marathons, now he's got like a running blog that's got a ridiculous amount of followers. So like he gets all these new obsessions, and he kind of just dives in and figures it out. And like he ended up kind of leaving the local MMA scene before it really started to pick up. Like he was still around, and was still involved to a certain degree, but like, I don't know, probably 2004, 2005 is when he kind of stopped being as obsessed about it and wasn't training as much, like stopped competing in grappling tournaments. And he just kind of, I don't know, found a different obsession. Right. And, a lot of people don't even know that he exists and that he created mass MMA. And he actually had a pretty cool vision for it back in the day. Like he was thinking like, we'd make this into something where we'd have different local MMA websites. Like, so you'd have a New York MMA, you'd have a Florida MMA, and like you'd find people in these locations, and then you'd have, they'd all kind of roll up to like localmma.com or something like that. And you'd be able to click the state and get all the news for your state. And,
Good network.
So he was just a sharp guy that had ideas like that. And, I think he got bored with it and stopped doing it before, before we really got into that. But anyway, I digress, right? So I just happened to be training at Dragon Lair.
Yep.
At the time, I was writing for some boxing website. And again, I just liked writing, so I was writing for some Doghouse Boxing.
Did you have any background in writing, or is it something that you just picked up and you became good at it?
I was always pretty good at it in school. Like I was, I was always relatively entertaining. Like my teachers used to always laugh about the essays I turned in, and it was like, I don't know, it was something that came natural to me, and I enjoyed doing it. So it was kind of funny how it worked out. I started training there, and he starts talking about, I run this website. And it's like, oh, no shit, I write for a boxing website. He's like, well, I'm looking for writers for my website. You should write for Mass MMA. And I'm similar to Mark in some ways, where I tend to obsess about things too. And when I dive in, like it turns into, the thing that I spend all my time doing. So, pretty quickly there were, it started off, there were probably 4 or 5 different guys writing for the site. And pretty quickly it just became me and Biggie. And then when Mark kind of started to not want to do it anymore, Joe Lozon got involved as well. And, I used to do essentially what you guys are doing. Like I was the guy going to the event. I was covering the events. I was doing live play-by-plays. I was doing all kinds of stuff like that. And I actually, like, unlike some of the other guys that were on the site, like I actually enjoyed talking to people. Like I enjoyed being part of the scene. Like, Biggie wanted to kind of he wanted to write articles and shit on people, and like it just have it be kind of like a I don't know if you were involved when he was still writing.
No, I can't.
He was really good.
Yeah, I came in really way after, but
yeah, he was really entertaining. He used to shit all over everybody. Like he'd talk about referees, and like there were referees that wanted to fist fight him. Like,
that's great.
He was an instigator.
Sounds like you.
Like he was awesome, and so he didn't really want to go out and like meet people at shows and interview people. He just kind of wanted to do his thing. So I was like, kind of by accident, I almost became the face of the website, because I was the person who was going and doing all this stuff. And that's actually how I met Joe. I ran into him at one of the best MMA events in the history of New England that literally nobody went to. Was a show called Eruption at the Songus Arena in Lowell. So I'm actually going to pull this up while I'm talking to you, because I remember like a couple guys that fought on it. So I'm going to see if I can actually pull up the card. So it was something that Mike Littlefield matched way back when, and I forget the boxing guy who was the promoter, but he did one show and then never did it again. Oh, of course, it just says Massachusetts Regional, and it won't let me click on it. Shit. Okay, so it was an absolutely ridiculous card. Like stacked top to bottom. Like Joe Lozon's pro debut was the first fight on the entire show.
Wow.
And it was like guys that, like, so many guys that went to the UFC fought on the show. Like Marcus Davis fought Nuri Shakir on it. Sam Hoger fought somebody. I forget who he fought, but he head kicked some fat guy. And then some kid, Chris, chubby fat kid from New York. But then there were so many other guys. Jay Heron fought Fabio Holando, and there was just like the card top to bottom was just absolutely bananas. And I just happened to meet Joe there. And if you've ever talked to Joe, he's like a really personable guy. Like he's like the thing that like the life skill that he's good at is networking. So he started chatting me up and saw that I wrote for the local website, and he had me interview some of his guys, and he was just one of the only like managers or coaches who like faked like he cared about what we were doing.
I get it. I get it, definitely.
Yeah, so he was excited about it, right?
Yeah.
And then I just happened to, and again, he's the type of guy too that it's when you meet him, it's like, oh, hey, we're going to get food. You want to come? Like he's just friends with everybody. And then I ran into him at a combat zone after that, and it was like he remembers everybody's name, he remembers everything that he talked to you about, and he asks you a question about something that you talked about, like, oh, you said you were going to do blah blah blah. How'd that go? Like he that's the thing that comes easy to him, is just like getting people to like him.
He's genuine, so he actually absorbs what you're telling him. I mean, he's actually interested in what people say.
He loves MMA.
Yeah, and I know Joe from I know him from the back room with his fighters. When I interview his fighters, he comes back with them, and you hear things back there that no one else does, like how he settles them down or hypes them up or whatever. How he talks to them, and the dude is legitimately like one of the nicest guys. And just a great role model for anyone that he touches, man.
That's good.
I'm gonna have to remember that you said that. You said that Joe Cav's a role model. That's great. So I know a different version of Joe. Right?
Yeah, I imagine.
No, so he's an awesome guy. Like I've got nothing but good things to say about Joe. And he had a career in sales before he started doing the fights, and he's he's got a really interesting background too. Like when you see like the people that he knows and like the people that go out of their way to talk to him. Like we were at, I don't know, a gentleman's establishment on Route 1. I forget what the name of it is. Golden Banana, I think.
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
So we were there, and then out of nowhere, like some dude comes over and starts talking to us, and it's like that's fucking Richie LaMontagne, right? Like, so like everywhere we go, like there's somebody like that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is like a former world champion, and like, oh, okay, he's hanging out with us now. Like he's, like everywhere you go, there's somebody that's friends with Joe Cavallero. It's
and that's infectious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's so anyway, we met at the shows, and he just we continued to chat every time we ran into each other at an event. And then when he decided, like I had been involved with some other shows at that point, like I never promoted one. Again, we're going back. I'm 40 years old now, right? So if we're going back, back when we did shows, right? Like if we're back in 2004 to 2005, I was in my 20s, so I wasn't like super involved. I mean, I started doing grappling. I promoted grappling matches, grappling competitions. We did some in New York. We did some locally in Massachusetts as well. So I was kind of involved with some stuff like that, still doing the website. And when Joe started doing his show, one thing that he does really well is he just kind of tells a bunch of smart people, like, hey, I've got this show coming up. Like, I've got this thing. I'm not really sure I don't know what your role is going to be yet, but I'd love for you to be a part of this thing. And then next thing you know, he's got like 10 or 12 people who want to do it. And then like eventually people, like as you get closer to the show, or even well before, like you start to realize which guys actually are going to be part of it, which guys are going to help out. So like he talks to a whole bunch of smart people, says, I got this show coming up. What do you think? And then, like, I don't think that he had the plan of making me his matchmaker, but then I think he just, I don't know. It's almost like what Bill Belichick did this year with the coaching staff. He just kind of has some guys around, and then it's like, all right, I guess we don't have an offensive coordinator, so so that's I think that's how I ended up being matchmaker.
Well, also you were personable with the fighters. I mean, that goes a long way because you got to talk.
100%.
Yeah, you got to
100%.
Yeah,
but I guess where I'm going with it is, I don't think he knew going in that like he didn't tell me he wanted me to be the matchmaker.
Yeah.
Like it was actually supposed to be another guy who never ended up working for the show. He just kind of disappeared. And we were like, he was talking about, he couldn't get anything booked. And I can't even remember who the fight was, but he was talking about how he couldn't get anything booked. And then he asked, he's like, I'm not going to shit on the guy. I'm not going to say his name, but so-and-so can't get anything booked. We're like, whatever it is, 8 weeks out, 10 weeks out, we're fucked. And I was like, no, I'll book you a few fights today if you need some fights. Yeah. And then he's like, well, who are you thinking? And I knew everybody, right? So I was essentially, what you guys are doing now. Like, we had rankings at the time, so I knew who the best guys were, because like I wrote the rankings that essentially said
exactly.
So it made it pretty easy, and I knew who everybody was. I knew how to contact everyone. So I just, like, within a few hours, like I said, these fights would be good. Like, I had a few fights matched, and he was like, all right, well, do you want to just like match the rest of them? And
here we go.
There we go.
Right? Well, at that point, I mean, you're matching fights, and fighters are, talking to other fighters and say, hey, I got a fight coming up, or I just got matched. And, that path just gets bigger and bigger. I'm sure you had people messaging you and saying, hey, what's going on with this card?
It's funny. It doesn't happen on the first one. So even this one, right? So the first show, we basically, it was kind of a fight to get enough fighters on the show. Like, it was tough to get that first one matched up, because nobody knows what to expect from the show. They don't know what kind of show it's going to be. They don't know how, like, you guys, I'm sure, have seen many first-time promoters pop up and run terrible shows, and then they disappear, and everybody's worried that that's what it's going to be. So that first show was, it was challenging. I mean, we got some good fights. The main event of that first one was Joe Cushman and Aguilano Brandao, which at the time, those were two of the better 145-pounders in New England. So we had some very real fights on it. We had Bobby Diaz fighting Bobby McMasters, which I don't know if you remember Bobby from South Shore, but he was, Bobby McMaster was awesome. He ended up fighting in, I forget what it was called, that Showtime thing that disappeared after Elite XC. I think yeah. He fought there for a few fights, and so we had some really good fights. And then the second one was incredibly easy to match, and that's what happened this time, right? Like, the last card, I mean, it was such an incredible pain in the ass to get that thing matched. I mean, I've never talked to more fighters in my life to try to get that thing matched. And I mean, I was flying guys in for, like pros with 1-4 records. I had to fly guys in for them.
Now, that was the last WFC card you're talking about?
I'm talking Combat FC.
The first one.
Yeah. Like, even on this last one, it was tough to get guys matched up because, again, you guys haven't done it in a while. You guys haven't done a show in a while. A lot of the people forgot who we were. Like, anyone who actually fought when we were doing shows, they're old now, right? They're my age, so they have no interest in it. I mean, the very last show we did was headlined by a guy who's like 42 or 43 years old now. So we couldn't really go back to the guys that we had before. All the gyms have changed, so it was tough to get. That last show was, again, it wasn't impossible. Like, we ended up putting together, I thought it was a really good card. We ended up losing some, the last 2 weeks we lost a few big ones. So it didn't end up quite where we wanted. We actually lost something right, on the day before weigh-ins, we lost the fight as well. So that's how Matt Denning ended up on the show.
And that turned out to be a pretty good turnout with him. I mean, he's a big draw as far as eyes, and he came away with a quick win in that fight. So I mean, I
kind of felt bad for his opponent. because his opponent was primarily a kickboxer.
That's what I figured.
And he was fighting a guy who was primarily a kickboxer. So it was that, he was training for a kickboxer, and then on, the morning of weigh-in day, like, Matt accepted the fight literally at like 8 a.m. on weigh-in day. And this kid had tried to make a pro debut several times, and it just kept falling apart. He had some, fights fall apart through COVID. And so he was like, yeah, I'm in, man, let's do it. And then, he landed a pretty good liver kick. Matt actually talked about it after the fight. He, the one strike the kid landed, and Matt was like, all right, well, that's fucking stupid. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, so he instantly shot a takedown.
Yeah.
It was just like, no, I'm not going to play that game with this. This guy's like 6'3".
Yeah.
And so it worked out really well for Matt. I felt bad for the opponent because he, a tough kid. He was out of Tiger Schulman, and he was cornered by Shane Burgos on the show. And, we were going to introduce Shane and kind of get Shane to, wave to the crowd. But then when the guy he was cornering got choked, and, they wanted to get out of there pretty quick, like, all right, well, we don't want to.
Yeah, and
we don't want to make you come out and shake hands and kiss babies.
Yeah, we're done. Get out. You can go. I was talking to Laz and Travis about it, and they were like, they were telling me the kid's really, really good, and I went, yeah, but and I was saying the same thing. The kid is definitely stand up oriented, and Matt's just he's a big jiu-jitsu guy. So I mean, but that kid, I mean, like you said, this happens a lot. I mean, fighters, after a while, like, fights pull out, they sold tickets. They're just, I got to get over this, and I'll take a shot and see what happens, man.
Yeah. Well, with him, he was from Panama. Like, he moved to the United States years ago, but, like, he flew his mother in from Panama to watch his pro debut. So, like, he would have fought anybody. He would have fought and he was from, like, he's represented by a big management company. And I believe it's the same company that manages guys like Brian Ortega and a bunch of other, like, UFC stars. And so it was, very unique set of circumstances.
Yeah.
And, but we've got Matt coming back on this one as well. So, he's a good guy. I mean, I say everybody's a good guy. Mm-hmm. If I talk to him and I get along with him, I don't know most of these guys at this point. I haven't hung out with them, and, I've been out of the game for a while, but, Matt's a personable guy. I've liked all of my interactions with him. I found him to be one of the easier guys to talk to. I was happy to have him back, and I'm not going to announce his fight tonight. So I'm going to keep his opponent secret for now.
Okay.
So, I mean, here we are. Your next card is October 21st, correct? Is that the next day? Yep. So, I mean, we're a ways out, and you already have fights matched, which is great.
21 fights.
Yeah. You have 21? Wait a minute.
21, sir.
You already have a match, like all 21? All right, then.
Still working on a few.
All right.
But I'm still working on a few. So when I said before that the first one was tough, and then people take a look at the show and then they say, oh, I'd like to fight on that one. Yeah. I could match 30. I could match 30 by the end of the week if I wanted to. But I like, we've got that time window that we got to stick with, right? Because we have Fight Pass going on from 9 to 11, and it's a Friday night, so I don't have the option of, like, doing what some of the other shows would do if they have a lot of fights. Like, okay, doors will be 30 minutes earlier. We'll start the fights a little earlier. Like, we really don't have that option because people work. So I can't really say doors at 5, first fight at 6. So, we're at 21 right now. I think we'll probably get down to about 16. And that's the goal. I think that's where we're going to end up. Still working on a couple fights for some guys that that I know for sure are going to fight on the card. We're just trying to lock in their opponents. Some of the more interesting ones that, some of the more interesting fighters. Like for example, Rico DeShulo wants to fight on the show again, and I don't. We've had a couple opponents kind of fall through for Rico, like guys who had accepted and then didn't end up wanting it, right? They said yes, and then they got back. Like, I don't know if, like, my coach isn't available that weekend. I don't know if that's the new thing where it's like, no, I changed my mind. But That's the excuse I get a lot, is like fighters will accept fights, and then, even if they're represented by a manager, they'll accept the fights, they'll be good with the money, and then 2 days later they'll get back to me and they'll say, well, actually, we're sorry, we'll do it on the next one, but October 21st doesn't work. So.
Welcome back to New England MMA, bro.
yeah, and again, 21 sounds like a lot, but we started with 18 last time and we ended up at 13. So, it's like I fully expect that we're going to lose. I mean, if we lose the same 5 we lost last time, and I had to add fights last time too. I mean, I ended up adding Jay Bakanowski and Jesse Erickson like 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, so something like that. So we started at 18. At one point, we got down to probably 11, and I was panicking, and I had to add in more fights. So even though I'm at 21 now, I mean, I might lose 8 of them.
Yeah, you always overmatch if you can, because like you said, I mean, fighters pull out here and there. Some of these fighters might have 3 or 4 matchups by the time 3 weeks or so before the card.
Yeah, someone like Matt Denning will. Most of the other guys, I mean, Denning's the only guy that I've booked that has another fight between now and then. There's some other guys that I'm talking to that have said they want to fight on the show, and I've kind of got a spot earmarked for them, but they've got some things over the next couple weeks. So there are some guys that again, none of it, when I say that I've got 20 or 21 booked, none of those are guys that have fights between now and then.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, Matt Denning, he's just a special kind of animal. He fights like every other week, and he's been winning. I mean, he's jumping in boxing matches. So I mean, the dude's a gamer, and he's just growing. At this stage of the game, you would think he's on the tail end of his career, but it seems like it's exploding for him as far as people getting into Matt, because he's doing so many friggin' cool things, just jumping in late notice for anyone that needs him.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he's a guy that can fight, right? Like if you actually put him in a fight that's where he's not completely overmatched, and I get it. Like, I realize why the promoters are offering him those fights, right? Like, if you have a big ticket seller that's 170 pounds, there's a few names that you call, right? And if Matt's the one that's willing to say yes, then he takes those fights, right? But yeah, if Matt continues to fight, a murderer's row of guys at 170, his record's gonna suck. But if he continues to, if he's going back to his natural weight, and and he's not taking those fights with guys that are that have really, really good records, 2 weight classes above where he wants to be, he's a guy that can fight. He's definitely not one of there are some guys that their records are pretty lopsided, and they're just they're not really skilled fighters. Like Matt's a guy that could show up to a jiu-jitsu tournament and do well. He knows what he's doing. You can tell when he fights that he's trained MMA before. Which you can't really say that about some of the other guys that have similar records to him.
Definitely.
Anyway.
Rick, let me as far as the first card you had, Combat FC 1, did it meet your expectations? Because as far as my end, I couldn't go to the card because we had to split up that night, because there was you guys were on the same night as another card. So I went to the other card. Travis and Lars covered your card, but I watched the stream. I was watching the stream. The stream was outstanding for your first card.
That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, just the production. You had Randy Costa in there. Mm-hmm. Another notable. You guys just, it looked like it didn't go. It looked like it went pretty smoothly. Did it go as smoothly in the back rooms as it did, on TV, as on Fight Pass?
No. So we had kind of, there were some kind of minor fuck ups. And so one thing about Joe and I is we're both really focused on the stuff that we need to do, but we're not we don't have, I don't have a checklist for the other stuff. And we actually have a guy working on an operations checklist, because there was a show years ago that Joe and I still talk about it. We just forgot the ring cards. So
Happens.
like the ring girls, like no shit, the whole event, the ring girls had to literally walk in like, and then hold up like 2 fingers, like, and it was like we didn't have a number 2. Like they just literally had to walk around and wait.
Dude,
So,
while you're talking, I'm flashing some of the old pictures from WCF with the ring girl, showing the ring girls. Dude, they didn't need ring cards. Fingers in the air are fucking enough, man.
I was gonna say no one noticed.
Yeah, Amy and Jessica were amazing.
It even looked like you guys had ring girl competitions or something like that. Did you have something?
We had one, and so again, it's we're kind of following almost the same pattern here, where our first show, like we didn't know what we didn't know, and we ended up just kind of like we had to figure out some things last minute, and so we ended up getting like I can't even remember who the ring girls were from our very first event, but it wasn't Amy and Jessica. And then Amy and Jessica came in the second event, and they were our ring girls forever. And we had a ring girl contest, but it was like we were potentially going to add a third, and we did have a third one in there for one event, and we ended up having some other girls that were part of the contest that also worked for us. Because we used to do a lot of events at like, again, what now would be like Buffalo Wild Wings or Hooters. Like there were local venues that showed the fights, and we'd do events at those fights. We'd do ticket giveaways. We'd be getting email addresses, and we'd be, like, again, a lot of the stuff has changed. Like now we could do a lot of that online. We could do stuff on social media, but we used to do a lot of events face to face. So we'd have the girls who worked for the event, like the ring girls would actually go to a Buffalo Wild Wings, or again, the equivalent 15 years ago. And, they'd be actually like, we'd pay them an hourly rate to go work the event, and they'd show up in their ring girl outfits, and they'd take pictures of people and get email addresses and give away tickets. And, so we did do a contest at a Harley dealership. Like they had some sort of event. Again, I don't remember what the event was, but it was like, like every car dealership will do some sort of like customer appreciation weekend, and they had, beer and hot dogs and hamburgers, and they had a DJ, and it was one of those things. And
I'm going.
Right, exactly. So they had that set up already, and they were a sponsor of the event. And then it was, hey, let's do a ring girl contest there.
Awesome.
So it was something, so while we were doing the ring girl contest, it was a customer appreciation event at a Harley dealership. So there were a lot of dudes in Harleys already there. And it was just, it kind of fit well with what was going on. And
that's smart marketing right there, my friend. I mean, pay the ring girls a little money, but they're going to bring you in some views and some, I'll be a judge for the next one. Like if you need, I could be that judge.
Honestly, it was a little weird being a judge. It really was. Like I was a judge for it, and you've got like these 8 smoke shows that are standing in front of you, like vote for me. Just like it got to be really weird, because it's like shit, I don't want to
hurt their feelings.
I don't want to say no to anything.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be the same way. I'd be
you
like,
all win in my
if they
eyes.
all looked at me at the same time, I'd be like, I'm out. I can't do this.
Right. It's like, okay, we're doing a secret ballot. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna, and then I'm gonna give somebody else the paper, and I'm gonna walk away. Like I don't even I don't want to be here when the results get ready.
Oh my God.
But no, we did some fun stuff like that, and we'll be doing that stuff again.
Excellent.
The tough part is like, it's really just Joe and I who do a lot of, like, there's a lot of people that help us out the night of the fight, or even, like basically weigh-in day, the night of the fight. And then there's, he gets a lot of help from his sister in terms of like ticket seating charts, like doing stuff like that right after the event. But doing everything else between the events, it's really just Joe and I.
Yep.
So,
Are you guys looking to hand off a little bit of that stuff as you get going, or do you guys like to be in control and have your hands on kind of everything? Because you kind of think because you do it right.
Yeah, well, I think we'll hand off some of it. Like, so we had a guy years ago that, again, I'm not big on titles when it's like local MMA. Like when it's a local MMA promotion, and there's a few of you. If anybody's calling themselves a vice president of anything, you're an asshole. Like. You're the guy that does that thing. Like I'm not like the vice president of fighter operations. Yeah. Like, no, I do the matchmaking, and I do the contracts, and I do all this other shit. so I don't know. I've never been big on that, but we had a guy who was like, I don't know, the vice president of operations or something like that, and he did a lot of different things. Um, one of which was he managed the street team, and that's something that I try to steer Joe away from it because I'm definitely it's not my money, so it's easy to spend it, but I'm the guy that says let's hire someone to do this thing at a I don't know, market competitive rate. Like if we're talking about like video editing or marketing, I'm like, let's throw a little money at this thing. And Joe's like, we can't throw money at everything you tell me to throw money at. Like you'll bankrupt me if I get I could spend, and he's right, I could spend $10,000 on bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. So he's the one that kind of says, no, we have to like there are college kids that'll do this for free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, right. But when it's just Joe and I don't have the time to go find these college kids. I don't have the time to train them up on what I need them to do. I don't have time to stay on top of them. I don't have time to manage the schedule. So we had a guy years ago that would go out and find the interns. And, we used to joke about it. Like, I don't know if you remember the Seinfeld episode. We used to call it Kramerica, right? Because Kramer had that Kramerica thing a million years ago on Seinfeld. So we had our interns, and it was funny. It was actually one of our interns years ago, like a guy who helped us out with a lot of things. He worked for free, and somehow, like again, Joe with the weird shit that he gets done, it was actually like this kid was getting like it was an internship that was part of college for him. Like
Yeah.
he had to choose, but like this was like a legit thing that was part of his college courses.
Getting credits.
He got credits.
Yeah, he gets credits for it. That's pretty cool, though.
Like I wouldn't even think to do that, right? So one semester the kid was like, it's like, okay, you have to be an intern on this guy's political campaign, and you have to do this, and it'll make sense when I tell you the kid's name. And then it was okay, and then in this semester you can intern for whoever you want, and somehow he ended up with us, and he was actually Michael Bloomberg's nephew.
Oh shit!
No shit. What's he doing now?
Not a clue. I'm sure he's like a billionaire. Like I'm sure he's doing something really important because he was like way too smart to hang out with us, and and again, his uncle is a billionaire.
He was
right?
he was just looking for that credit. That's all he was looking for.
Right, but the thing is, he worked hard.
I was gonna say, was he good?
He was asking us questions about the fights. Like he wanted to be involved. He was like he was the best intern we ever had. Like he actually showed up and worked. And we were really just like, we were looking for, at the time, social media wasn't as big. So we'd print out 1 million flyers and we'd send like 4 dudes to a New England Patriots game to put out like 25,000 flyers, like some absurd amount. Like when you print them in huge quantities, you could get the little postcards cheap. So we'd send these guys down there to put out thousands, right? And they'd just be like, oh, like, so we're looking for guys to just like put stuff on cars, and just hustle around, be a street team, right? And we ended up with like Michael Bloomberg's nephew, who like wanted to actually like help with real shit.
Awesome.
And but he was awesome though. He was great. And so anyway, so we had a guy like, so when you ask your original question about like, are we ever going to have somebody else do that?
Yep.
There will be certain things. Yeah. Like there will be like at a certain point, we will probably have someone who can organize the street team, like who can organize people to help with social media, who can we'll have some more people to do that. But I'm always going to do all the fights. I'm always going to do all the contracts. Like I've got a pretty good, I don't know if I want to call it a system, but I've got it's easier for me to just write the contracts than it would be for me to communicate to someone else. This is who's fighting who. This is what they need for hotel rooms. This is their purse. This is because I don't really write any of that down anywhere. I just know it. So I just do it. It would be more work for me to type that into a text message than it would be to type it into my contract template. So, I'm going to always do a lot of that. But I don't want to avoid the question you asked a minute ago about the thing that messed up, because I feel like I have to say this, because if anybody who fought on the show, I want them to know it's going to be different next time.
Okay.
So the people in the arena, it's a different crew than we had before. And when we brought they were telling us, like we used to have the front of the house completely dark and the locker rooms lit up. And he was telling us, no, if you want to flip that on, it's going to light up, the arena.
Which
So
which screws up your fight pass.
Which screws up all the TV, which screws up all the lighting.
Yep.
We spent an ass load of money on lighting, right?
Yep.
So we had no lighting in the locker rooms, like no lighting in the back of the building. So for a while,
so
there,
let me ask you, Rick, because I was there for the lion fight show. Are there dressing rooms, or are they kind of curtain stalls in the back?
It's in the back. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's a big wide open warehouse, right? That it's basically what it is once you get back there.
Yep.
So we actually take the pipe and drape, and we make locker rooms wherever we want them. We put our mats down, then we put the pipe and drape around where the mats go. We create our own locker rooms. And
Yep.
It ends up being fine, but when there was no lighting, like there were literally people wrapping hands, like someone would take out their cell phone flashlight and hold a flashlight on the guy's hands. And then someone came to me like 2 to 3 fights in, and they're like, "Hey man, they can't, like, can you do something about the lighting?" And I'm like, "What the fuck you mean the lighting?" And they're like, "Oh, you got to come look at this." So then I walk back there, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's like
"What is happening?"
pitch black alley back there.
Right. So yeah, so I had to, we ended up getting some lighting back there, but it was like, for some period of time there was no lighting in the locker rooms. And like they opened up a garage door so they could see, and then the commission made them shut it because they were worried people were going to sneak in. And so it was hectic for a minute there, and nobody told me until they had given up hope and started wrapping hands with flashlights. That's when I found out, and we went and took care of it. And there were some other minor things, like we forgot stools for the judges, which the commission was fine with.
We don't need them for them. They could stand
yeah.
every so often.
Yeah, like we didn't have a blood guy. Like, just didn't even, Joe and I just, like the guy that we had before, he took care of a lot of that little stuff, right? So,
now, what do you mean a blood guy? Not a like a doctor blood guy? Like
no, like if somebody bleeds in the cage,
Yeah.
the commission doesn't send somebody in with a cloth to wipe it up. The promotion has to actually send somebody into the cage to spray it, and so we didn't have someone who had at that point agreed to sit cage side and then walk in there and wipe up blood.
You found somebody quick, didn't you?
Yeah, but kind of by accident. It's funny. Like we had
Dexter.
someone who was actually looking for someone to do it and didn't find anyone, and it was like 5:30 p.m. or something like that, and some guy walked in, and again, like Joe Cav being Joe Cav, he like met some dude at a cookout who said he was into MMA, and it's like, "Oh, I run MMA shows, and you should come check out the fights." Well, yeah, show up. We'll pay a couple $100. You can work for us that night. We'll find something for you to do.
There's a role model. There's the role model for you right there with Joe Cav.
Yeah, well, and the kid walks in. He's like, "Hey, I think his name was Andrew." He's like, "I'm here to do whatever you want." And he's in like nice clothes. He's got like a button-up shirt on. Like he's in nice clothes. And I kind of jokingly said, I was like, "You want to clean up the blood?" And he said, "If that's something that you guys need, like I actually would enjoy doing that. I think that would be a really cool job. Yeah, I'd love to do that."
Will he be back this next show?
I don't think he's going to be the blood guy. I think
He moved. He paid his dues in the first show.
Hey.
Well, and he's like a 30-year-old man. Like he's not like he wasn't like a. Again, I might be exaggerating with 30. Like he's clearly not in college, and he's clearly not my age. So I just say he's 30, right? But so yeah, he's going to come back, and he wants to come back and do something for he wants to work on the show, and yeah, we'll have to figure out who's going to wipe the blood up. But like there were things like that like Joe and I need a checklist, because especially after not doing a show for that long, like there were little things that we forgot about. Like it was probably 6 p.m. when we realized that we didn't have stools for the fighters, like to sit on in between rounds. Like we didn't have a red and a blue stool, and it's funny, we had them in the venue from like 12 years ago. Like we had a place where they let us store some shit, and they never threw it away.
Wow.
So he went and found the stools, and luckily they were still there. But I mean, at 6 p.m. we might have been scrambling and like asking everybody on the show, like, "Hey, is your school within 30 minutes of here? Do you have a couple stools? Please get them." So we would have, there's some things like that we just we were too busy working on everything else that like
Well,
you know.
I mean, that's part of it, creating and taking out the hiccups and the kinks out of the show, dude. Like I said, watching it from our angle, and I'm sure the crowd watching it that was there live, there was no really issues with that. I mean, as far as you watching that show live and seeing, what was your perspective from, watching this new promotion compared to the last promotion?
Yeah, I mean, so the Fight Pass stuff, I was really like, I tend to look at a lot of those. I've seen so many fights that I don't really watch the actual fights with a critical eye as much as I used to. Like when I was sitting there live, I actually thought Ahmadiyar won that co-main event when I was watching it live. So I wasn't paying attention. I tried to make a highlight video. Like I actually just made a highlight video of it a few days ago. Yeah, it was pretty clear that Tim Karen won that fight. But when I was sitting there watching it live, I wasn't watching it close enough to really, to score it, right? So I was more paying attention to the production. I was paying attention to the lights. I was paying attention to the graphics. We actually had a spot cage side where, we could put on the headphones and we had a monitor and we could see what the TV broadcast looked like with the graphics. We could hear the commentary. And, I mean, that couldn't have really have gone any better. Sean Wheelock's amazing. Randy Costa did a great job. The production team is they're excellent. And I think you could compare the actual production value of it. If you compare what ours looked like to any show on Fight Pass, I think it stacks up favorably. I think they did an awesome job. As far as the fights themselves, yeah, I thought they did a really good. I mean, all the fighters fought their asses off. I definitely have no complaints about anyone's efforts or fight performance. When you have a main event that ends on a cut stoppage, that that was kind of anticlimactic. So we didn't have a viral video that we could put out there. That was one thing that again, if I'm looking at it from a promotional standpoint and strictly the angle of how do I get people to come back for October, I didn't have a video that, I mean, I thought Armudi and Philippe was a great fight, but that wasn't there wasn't a slick submission that was gonna look great in a highlight video. It was, I mean, the two guys just, it was kind of a grindy fight. They both landed a bunch of strikes. It was definitely not a boring fight. I really enjoyed the fight, but it's not something that you could package up in a 15-second highlight and have everybody go, holy shit, that was amazing. So that was the only thing that, the last four fights of the night, Bakanowski looked amazing. The TV broadcast didn't do it justice. In the arena, when you could actually hear how hard the shots were that he was landing, it almost started to feel uncomfortable. And it was one of those fights where you were watching it and you were like, I just really want him to flurry a little bit. Cause if he I feel the referee's watching it close enough that if he throws 5 or 6 punches and anything lands, they're going to wave this thing off. He was the shots that he was landing, Jesse was I was blown away by the heart he showed in that fight.
That was an amazing fight, man. That was just a grind as far as I knew that was going to be a grind. I believe I interviewed Jesse before that fight about it, and he knew it was going to be a grind. And that dude he's fighting, I mean, he's only got a couple of pro fights, but he's been around for a while.
Well, so Bakanowski was 4-3 coming into the fight, but if you look at the guys he fought, so he took about 6 years off, and he was 3-3 when he took the time off. But he's a guy that, I mean, if you look at the guys that he fought, do you remember Louis Carapi from years ago?
Yeah. Crafty jiu-jitsu guy too, right there. Crafty.
Well, Carapi was more of a stand-up guy though. He was he was almost like Rob Font, except 155, similar style. He used to kickbox with people, and Jay stopped him with punches years ago, right? So he was a guy that he fought Nate Andrews years ago, and He's always been a really tough guy, but like he doesn't sell an astronomical amount of tickets, so he's the guy that gets brought in to fight Nate Andrews or to fight a Louis Carapi. Like these are fights that he's often set up to lose. And but I mean, Jay wrestled D1 in college, and he's done some boxing, so I mean he's his jiu-jitsu is supposed to be pretty good too, but good luck getting him there. You got to be a pretty good wrestler to get him there. So yeah, he's definitely a guy. He's 5-3 now, but he's a guy that we're going to find out pretty soon how well he stacks up with the top end of the 155ers in New England.
So he's back on this card.
He is.
Okay.
He is. So yeah, you want to announce a fight? I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, if you want to announce a fight, man, I'll cut this little clip.
I'll announce a few. I'll announce.
Go ahead.
Since we're talking about.
All right. Let's announce what's going on the 21st of October. Let's do it.
I mean, yeah, I have a feeling that you know who he's fighting because he's fighting one of your guys. So.
Wait a minute. Is he fighting? Wait a minute. Is he fighting Jacob Bone?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes. Oh Jesus. There's a fucking.
It's a good one.
Wow.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of fun.
That'll be a lot of fun, right? And I think we'll get to see in this one. We'll find out pretty quick where Bakanowski stacks up, right? I mean, we've seen Jacob in there with the best guys in the area, right? We've seen him in there in wars with some really, really good fighters. So, we'll find out pretty quickly. Is that the type of fight that Bakanowski's ready for next? But either way, this is going to be. I just don't see how that fight doesn't turn into a war. Because even if you look at the way that Bakanowski fights, when he beats guys, like he had a fight earlier this year against Robert Oval.
Yeah, Robert was. I think Robert was making his pro debut, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's one of those, like, Robert's a motherfucker.
Yes,
like,
he is.
He had, like, 40 amateur fights. Like, he's got amateur boxing, amateur kickboxing, amateur MMA. Like, he's a guy that's, like, like, he went into that fight knowing who Jay Bakanowski was and thought he was going to win that fight. Like Oval's a really, really tough guy. So, and if you look at the fight, it was, like a lot of Jay's fights, they're close until they're not. And it reminds, like, his style kind of reminds me of like Bernard Hopkins years ago, right? Like the fights are close. He starts kind of chipping away at you, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming, and then
he doesn't go away. You're like,
right,
because it looks like when in the two fights I've seen with Jess and Rob, it seemed like he was on his last wind, and then he just gets a second wind, and and he just he grinds you till you can't take. It's crazy. And he ended up knocking out Rob, not like ground and pounded him. He ended up coming third round or something. He still had power in his hand, still had power, and he knocked him out pretty soon, pretty quick in that third round or so.
Yeah, I think it was early in that third round, I believe, and same thing in the Jesse fight. Like if there was a shot that he landed at the end of round one, which the highlight video doesn't really do it justice. Like even on Fight Pass, it didn't look like it was that big of a shot. But seeing it live, like that last punch that he landed in round one, like you could see that took a lot out of Jesse, and he walked back to the corner like fuck, like okay, like this is gonna be
Plan B. Plan B.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough fight. Like I gotta try to get this guy off his feet, and Jay just keeps coming, right? So he's not the type of guy that, when he's lost fights, he's not the type of guy that like you head kick and get out of there in 20 seconds. Like, so in same thing, like watching Jacob fight, like it's kind of a similar style. Like they get in your face, they both throw a lot of punches. They're not afraid to take damage. They're not afraid to take one to give one. And like it seems like a lot of their fights both kind of turn into wars of attrition, and
that's great.
How it goes, right?
That's great highlights right there, my friend. So this could be your highlight fight right here. I'm sure you have.
That should be fight of the night. I mean, that should be one of the best fights on the show. Like like stylistically, like I don't think either guy's like going to be looking for footlocks, right? Like it's like I think both guys are going to go in there trying to knock the other guy out.
Exactly.
And they both can wrestle. They both got jujitsu, so it's not like they're afraid of the ground game or anything. But like I think they're both going to go in there and try to out tough the other guy. So so yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. That's going to be a really good one. So I got a couple other ones we can announce.
Yeah,
too.
throw a couple.
I'm going to announce 4 tonight. Tickets are going on sale this week, so
Awesome.
I'm going to announce 4.
All right, throw them out there.
So what do you want to talk about next? I got a couple UFC vets fighting each other. I got an interesting pro debut, and I got an amateur title.
All right, let's go with the amateur. Let's give them some support off the bat here. Amateur title, who we got?
So these guys are, in my opinion, some of the best amateur fighters in New England, and they you don't often see them fighting on the other shows in New England. These guys end up doing a lot in Western Mass. They end up having to go to New York to get fights. They're both tough as fuck, and not a lot of people want to fight them. So one of the guys in the amateur title fight is, oddly enough, he's not in your rankings. He lives in Massachusetts. He's 3-0. Was Division I in college, national champion in high school. Lives in Massachusetts. Nobody knows who the fuck he is because he can't get a fight in Massachusetts. John Virouette is the guy's name.
Does he have fights in? Where
3-0. No, well, they're in across the state line in New York is where most of his
okay, okay. And if he fought, like, he will be in the rankings if he comes away. Like he has to fight in New England.
He's not a Pat Casey school. Like he trains at Jason Franklin's
Oh,
gym.
excellent.
Yeah,
Grizzlies wrestling is out of, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe he actually, like, I could be mistaken. Like I believe he actually owns the gym that they run their fight team out of. And he's a young guy. Like he's something like 25 years old. So I mean, if you want to talk about one of the better amateur prospects that we have in Massachusetts, 170-pound guy, mid-20s, was a national champion in high school, Division I in college, undefeated amateur. He's 3-0. Like, I can see why he's not getting a lot of fights in Massachusetts. You know, like he ends up taking a lot out in New York. And in the last 2 guys that he fought came in, you know, I think the last 2 guys that he fought, I think are both 2-1 now, with him being the one. So, you know, he's beating guys that are coming in 2-0 and things like that. So super tough guy, really excited about the fight. And he's going to be fighting Kenyon Moore out of Glover Teixeira's school.
Now, what I do, that name sounds familiar. What's his record, and where was the last time he fought?
He's 3-1. And he's fought, I think, twice this year. Excuse me. So he is. Of course, you're gonna make me pull.
He didn't come out. Did he fight like a late notice fight? His last fight, or am I? When you see his last fight.
So his last fight was out at Ammo in March. He fought Chris Almestica.
Oh, Chris is from Team Link in Ludlow, or I
think he's out of that same Jason Franklin team.
When Link during COVID, that's when they kind of all went to the Grizzly side there, because that gym was still kind of working a little bit. So
yeah, so he's 3-1 as an amateur. He's got 3 knockouts. And his one loss was a split decision to a guy who's undefeated. So, and he's out of Glover Teixeira's gym, which again, that's another gym that I don't think gets enough attention. You know, they're another gym that, you know, I think we see a lot in local MMA now, where you're either a ticket seller or you're someone that's brought in to get hammered by a ticket seller. And I don't think Glover's guys really fit either one. You know, if they're coming up here, like, they're not going to sell 100 tickets, you know, like you know, Kenyon's not going to come up here and sell 100 tickets to my show. And he's a guy that if you put him in with, you know, a ticket seller with a 500 record, he's going to hammer them. So it's tough to get some of these guys fights, right? And I think we see wait till you see some of the guys from Glover's gym. Like we've got some of them on our show, and there's actually a guy fighting September 9th from Glover's gym. Like, wait till you see that fucking kid Carvalho fight.
I would imagine. I would imagine
it's DFFC. Like,
I would imagine Glover is going to be all over your event that day.
Yeah, he should be. I mean, he's got multiple guys fighting. I mean, his jiu-jitsu coach is fighting too. I mean, I wasn't gonna announce that fight. So right. I assume he's gonna be there.
Come on, we gotta save some when I have Joe and you on together when we can cover more.
Well, they didn't really keep it much of a secret. Like they actually put out like his management team put out like flyers saying like signed, like when one of their guys signs a fight, they put out like a poster of their guy, and so it's not really a secret. But Chao Magalesh is going to be fighting on the card also. Fought in the UFC for many years. You know, most people know him as Hellboy. That was his nickname in the UFC. So he's going to be fighting on the show. And I assume, you know, Glover will be there to corner his jiu-jitsu coach, right? Like, and Magalesh is the jiu-jitsu coach for Pereira, who's going to be fighting Adesanya. So, you know, can't guarantee they'll all be there, but you know, most of these guys will be there to support
There'll definitely be eyes watching if they can't be in attendance. That's for sure.
Is Glover's gym in Mass?
Yeah, where's Glover's gym located?
He's in Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah, Glover's in Connecticut.
Excellent.
So yeah, a lot of his guys too, they end up fighting in either Western Mass, or they're fighting in New York, or they're fighting in New Jersey, and you know, a lot of his guys end up fighting for CFFC. So you know, and again, they take tough fights. So when I say like, wait till you see this kid Carvalho, like he's 6-4 and he just fought for the CFFC title in his last fight, and they've got a champion. I forget the kid's name, but he's like 6-0 and he's killing everybody. And like he dropped the kid and had him hurt bad in the first round. Like, so it's you know, he's a guy that's like 6-4, but you know, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody in New England that dominates the guy. You know, like he could beat anybody on a given day. Like he's awesome. I wish I signed him, right? I don't want to pump up somebody else's but he's going to be fucking great. So anyway, we got that amateur title fight, Viruet versus Kenyon Moore. That's going to be
and someone just asked on YouTube if you guys are going to add a title fight onto this next card, and there's your answer. We already have an amateur welterweight title fight going on.
Who asked the question?
Who is that? Jared S. I don't know who that is on YouTube.
Yeah. I was going to say, I wasn't sure if it was a guy who. Like there are some guys. There's actually a couple pros we're talking to about potentially a title fight.
Oh, so it could be them.
I wasn't sure if they were breaking balls.
Could be them catfishing a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. But no, so we might have something. You know, the thing with title fights is, you know, you need two guys that make sense for it.
Well, here's a thing that I just want to interrupt you on that title fight, because I've seen title fights like recently coming up and in the past where to me they're not legitimate title fights as far as the matchup, the records, fighters coming off losses, going against guys that are like 4 fights in a row, wins. I could see that happen if it's a late notice fight. You need that title fight to go on the last week or so. You get someone in there that is willing to take the fight and who's legit. But, you know, I'm seeing some title fights that are happening that, you know, I love the opponent, but I just don't think they deserve that shot at this point. And I think it's ticket sales, and I think it's kind of putting all their eggs in one person's basket and trying to blast them off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I can really add to that, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I see some fights like that I mean, again, you got to keep in mind that the titles are like they're kind of a promotional tool, right? Like and that's the same for everybody. It's the same in the UFC. But if you want the belt to mean something, I think you have to, like, it's not just making sure that the guy who's wearing it is worthy. It's making sure he beat a guy that, if he were to win, was also worthy, right? Like you know, upsets happen all the time. We just saw Leon Edwards knock out Kamaru Usman, but Leon Edwards is very deserving of being a world champion. You know, occasionally you see something goofy happen like Michael Bisping win a world title when he's the 10th ranked guy in the world. But even still, he's still a real guy. I mean, so no, everybody's free to do whatever they want with their titles, and if they have a particular reason to put a guy over, and that's what they want to do with their titles, like, more power to them, right? It's everybody's trying to run different shows, and we're trying to do a different type of show than other people, and yeah, I would say if we're doing a title, like there's been a couple offers that, I've been close on a couple. We had a couple guys that were to the point that we were like negotiating money with for title fights, and one of the guys was coming off an injury, and like October 21st wasn't really going to work for him, so we ended up not booking that, and when another guy asked for like $5,000 or something like that, so we didn't do that. But again, it's. We might, if a title fight comes together, we're happy to do them, but we want to make sure like we're not going to put out titles like just to have them. We want to make sure that as soon as we're in a spot where we've got a couple guys that, again, coming off wins, that's an important thing in my mind. I think it's tough to take a title fight coming off a loss. If we've got a couple guys that are coming off wins that look like they're the type of fighter that should be fighting for a title, yeah, we're absolutely not opposed to it. We designed the belts and bought more than one just in case, right? So we've got
Nice.
And it's a pretty looking belt too. As
Awesome.
soon as we'll.
Is that
as soon
going
as I
to
get
excellent when you get the green light? What to announce things that I'm sure you're going to have a
Yeah, well,
post.
no. As soon as we actually have the belts in hand, right?
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
it takes a long time. Like I've seen the proofs. Like I've actually seen the plates that go on them. I can send you a picture of that. Like we've got the plates, but we don't actually have it like on a belt yet in the quantities that we bought. But anyway, yeah, we're definitely open to titles. I like the titles. Again, it depends though too, because some guys don't like going 5 rounds at the local level. So, that's there's pros and cons, right? Like some guys would rather just do 3 rounds. They don't want to.
Yeah,
They don't want to cut the weight.
We're in no rush for titles. I mean, right now you have that amateur one locked up, and if you add another one on there, man, it's just cherry or cream on top of that Sunday.
Yeah. So let's announce a couple more.
All right.
I've got an interesting pro debut, and I've got a couple of UFC vets. Which do you prefer?
I would let's save the UFC vets for last. Let's throw the pro debut, and we'll see who the UFC guys are coming.
Good call.
Sure. So Hassan Graham is making his pro debut.
Oh, congratulations, my man!
Thank you.
That guy is a monster of a fighter, dude.
He's a lot of fun, isn't he?
Yeah, he is a good guy. He's fun in the cage. He's a knockout artist, and that guy's got a gas tank for a large man like that.
Yeah.
Surprising.
Yeah, that one, it was kind of interesting how it came together, because before we even had our show lined up, before we were even into the June show, I had just started doing the matching. We had a couple conversations, and he was talking about he was talking about making a pro debut. And we actually came pretty close on a fight where one side accepted, and Hassan's team was like they were going back and forth about it. And then he said, you know what, I actually want to fight amateur one more time before I'm going to make my pro debut. And the fight that we were this close to getting for June was Hassan Graham and Jorge Vega. So
Jorge Vega. George
we missed that one.
George Tebow's guy. Will he be making? All right, that was the guy you wanted. He would have been making his pro debut, MMA pro
he
debut.
He would have been making an MMA debut.
Yes.
Right. So that was one that both sides were talking about doing. We came very close to getting that fight, but then Hassan said, "Nah, I think I'm going to fight amateur at least one more time." And then he gave me the kind of the polite brush off, right? He said, I'll be in touch in the future. I want to go fight amateur at least one more time. When I want to make my pro debut, I'll be in touch. And I said, okay, cool, man. Good luck. And then out of nowhere, hadn't talked to him. And I think when I first had that conversation, we were back in March, right? March, April timeframe. hadn't heard from him in forever. Like I just assumed that like it kind of felt like the polite brush off, like thanks but no thanks. And then out of nowhere, I got a text from him like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And he said, hey, when's your next event? And I said, it's October 21st. And he's like, all right, we doing the pro debut thing? And yeah. Like,
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. If you want to do it, yeah, let's do it. And, so yeah, it was cool how like I've had a lot of guys reaching out this time that, he's a good example. Someone that I tried to get on the show for June that passed for one reason or another, that reached out again to say, yeah, I'm definitely in, let's do it. Another example of a guy that did that. Again, I'm not going to announce his opponent yet, but fuck it, I'm announcing things left and right. So Jake Pilla is going to fight on this show.
Oh, my man. Oh, my God, dude. I mean, these guys, he hasn't fought like what?
I think it's like 2-3 years.
Yeah, I think was his last fight when he like carried the guy across the ring and like body slammed him, or
probably.
Like,
yeah. So he's a guy that like more people should be excited about that guy. If you pull up his Tapology, the only thing he's done in the last couple of years that shows up on Tapology is a grappling match with Joe Penafiel.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it. I can't find video of it anywhere, but it lasted about 2 minutes. And Jake's awesome. And the thing that people don't realize, because he started fighting so young, they don't realize that he's still a young dude.
Yeah.
Right? Like I remember him from Combat Zone. It feels like I saw the guy like 10, 12 years ago fighting. And you look it up and it's like, oh shit, he must have been like 18 in 3 weeks, because the guy's still like 28.
Dude, he's got a huge fan base. He does so much for the MMA community. Big training partner, John Howard. Travels, fights, Sean Graham from FAF. They're really close there. Always at John's fights, always in John's corner, man. So that and like you said, he hasn't fought MMA in a while.
Yeah,
but that guy's grappling is amazing, Yeah.
He's got to be considered one of the best grapplers in the area. I don't know how often he does grappling tournaments, but yeah, he's like, I know he was a state champ wrestler. I don't know how many times. I don't know if he was, a New England champ. I don't follow the wrestling that closely, but I know he was at least a state champ wrestler. I believe he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's been training forever. So, he's super technical. Really strong guy. Like you said, he picked a guy up and, ran him across the cage. Like he's like, good luck dealing with that guy on the ground.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's like, he doesn't make my job easy, because he's got one fight. Like he's got one pro fight, right? So I try to match him up, and like, I don't want to be a scumbag about it. And like, I don't want to just like throw his name over to a team and then like hope they don't Google him, like, so I tell people like, hey, I've got a guy that's 1-0, but fair warning, he's a really, really good grappler. Like, and I'm not talking about like he's a high level purple belt. Like I'm talking like he's an absolutely ridiculous grappler. And, and then the guys that come back wanting to fight Jake are like, they're guys that don't make sense for a guy with one pro fight. So he's a guy that's going to be, he'll be a challenge for me to match, for every time I have him, it's going to be tough until we get, until he's about 4 or 5 fights in. But yeah, so Jake's going to be on the show.
He's definitely a favorite of mine. Last time I saw him, I think it was in Maine. One of his guys was fighting on the NEF card. He took my hoodie. So I had a one and only New England MMA podcast hoodie, and Jay owned. Jane took it. No, you think I'm gonna take it off that kid? Forget it. I don't care if I'm twice his size. Well, what's he fighting at? Is he fighting at bantamweight? Where's he gonna be fighting? All right, excellent.
Still.
That's all. Yeah, he's a fucking this kid. You're saying 1-0. The kid should be at this point 5-0 and just like at the Contender Series, but He's
Well,
only,
well,
like you
again,
said,
like,
he's a young
like
kid.
we know Joe Benefiel can grapple, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's the #1 ranked bantamweight in your rankings. Like, we know Joe can fight. We've seen him fight Bruno Diaz. We've seen him in there with other really tough guys. Like, he's not a guy that's particularly easy to submit.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so for Jake to come in and submit him, and granted, grappling's different. You know, grappling's vastly different from MMA, but it's still it's still pretty goddamn impressive,
Yeah.
right? So it's you know, to be able to submit a guy that's that good, you know, again, it's going to be tough. Like, he's 1-0. It's going to be tough to match that guy when he's, you know, as he comes up through the rankings. So we'll see. But yeah. So before I forget, I didn't even say who Hassan was fighting.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's fighting a guy named Dan Bunyan, he's out of New York. He was 2-1 amateur MMA. He's taken a whole bunch of like, you know, like a whole bunch of boxing fights where like he's fighting like 8-0 prospects, and he takes like a kickboxing match against a guy who's 7-1. Like he's taken a bunch of those fights where it's like, okay, yeah, sure, I'm not busy next weekend.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's go for it. And you know, like his boxing record's not great, but you know, he's 2-1 amateur MMA. It's going to be a pro debut for him. He's got a couple knockouts. You know, he's definitely more of a brawler. You know, the fights that I saw of him, he was just throwing hammers. You know, he was just getting after it. So yeah, that's going to be a fun one. And I don't know how the two of them even got to be talking, but like, he had talked to Hassan a while ago saying like again, I don't think they like called each other out,
Yeah.
but they were talking about, I think fighting you would be really fun. Like, so they're both guys that like to do the face punching thing. So I think they've seen each other fight or have seen videos of each other, and we're like, yeah, let's do it. This will be fun. Like, I think he was kind of asking for the fight. So by the time you know, when Hassan reached out to me, he's like, you know, this guy has mentioned he wants to fight me. So, I mean, it was like the easiest fight I ever matched, right? It was like one text message, and the guy's like, I didn't even offer him, like, when I said, do you want to you know, Hassan Graham wants to make his pro debut. And this kid's got pro boxing fights. So it would be his first pro MMA, but it's not his first pro. I said, you know, do you want to fight Hassan in his pro debut? He said, yes, send me the contract. I'll sign it tomorrow. Like,
cool beans.
That was the text exchange.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, well, you don't want to know what I'm going to pay you? And he's like, I mean, yeah, I mean, you might as well tell me, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, he's like, I'm taking the fight either way. So, you know, guy was very easy to deal with. His you know, all his medicals are done. He just had a pro boxing fight 2 months ago, and yeah, he really wanted the fight. So he's, you know, I'm excited about it.
And you know, one thing, Rick, I mean, you mentioned that he had boxing and he didn't do that well, but if you look, I mean, he's an MMA fighter. That's probably, you know, but if you look at it, Hassan, if you had Hassan put on just boxing gloves and jumped in a boxing ring, I mean, you know, if it's just strictly boxing, we don't know how he would do. You know what I mean? So,
well, so the thing that you got to remember too is, if we see how guys are matched in MMA, and we see how well ticket sellers are treated in MMA, in boxing it's 10 times worse. Like in boxing, they'd have Jay Ellis fighting at fucking heavyweight. You know, like it's in boxing, it's so bad. Like, so even guys like, you know, like, look at Leo Ladera's boxing record. And Leo
yeah, he's a fucking hell of an MMA fighter too, that kid.
Right. And even like he had Rubio, Dion Rubio hurt with strikes in their fight. He had him hurt bad. So I mean, Leo is one of the better boxers. Like go up and down your rankings at 155. Who's going to outbox Leo? You know, but then you see when they put him in with like some 10-0 prospect 2 weight classes up, and the MMA guys are like, you know, yeah, I don't have anything going on this weekend.
Exactly.
You know, like they're a lot less reluctant to take tough fights. So they take tough boxing matches, they take tough kickboxing fights. You know, Dan Bonnell used to do that years ago. He was, you know, an MMA guy. Like by the time his career was up, he was, you know, I don't know, something like 14-10. But for a while, he was on a pretty good winning streak. But if they offered him a boxing match, 2 weight classes up against the 7-0 guy with 7 knockouts, he was like, yeah, like why not? Like if I lose a boxing match, nobody gives a shit because
Yeah.
it's not the sport I compete in. So, so yeah, so I don't know. I don't tend to look at the record, and like if I see boxing matches on guys' records, it's like, you know, I don't make too much of it because like you really never know what you're gonna get, right? Like some of these guys that are like 0-10 in pro boxing suck, and some of them are like really good. They just
Yeah.
continually get overmatched, and they keep getting these fights because the promoters know that their medicals are done. They're gonna make weight,
Exactly.
and they're gonna make it interesting until it's not. So you know, it's like you see some of these guys who are pro boxers with like 2-10 records that are like, you know, they're dangerous opponents. Like
Yeah.
they can,
They
you
know how,
they-
they know how to box. They're just boxing against someone that's a pure
Yeah.
boxer, someone that's boxing 24/7. So I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
Exactly. So yeah, I'll announce another fight with a couple UFC vets. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with Fabio Chiron.
oh my Lord, he's back. He's back.
Hopefully for a short time, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, he's a young enough guy, and like, and I'm not gonna, you know, I certainly don't want to rejoice about the fact that he's available. You know, it's he lost some UFC fights, and you know, he's obviously not with the UFC anymore, and we were able to get him on our show, and you know, he's a guy he's still young, right? I think
Yeah.
he's like,
Oh, yeah.
I want to say he's like 28.
Yeah,
something like that.
he only had a few fights when you know, when he was signed to go to the UFC. He won the
I think it was actually something like 7 or 8 fights though.
Yeah.
Like he was,
and he won the
not a million fights.
Yeah,
right?
he won the LFA title. And then,
Right.
you know, he got that shot, a late notice shot, I think, for the UFC. He didn't have an easy path of fights
Right.
that they threw him in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, the guys he fought were like, I think one of the easier fights that he had was Alonzo Menafield, and that guy is like, you know, he's not an easy out for
Yeah,
anybody,
exactly.
You know, so like the guys that he fought were super tough guys, and he's gonna be fighting a guy. I don't know how much of an old school MMA nerd you are, but he's fighting a guy named Richardson Moreira.
No.
And
Not ringing a bell.
So he fought on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil twice.
Okay.
So on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil, give me a second. I'm pulling this up so I don't fuck it up. So he lost to Daniel Serafin on the Ultimate Fighter on season 1, but then he came back for season 3 and he actually beat Thiago Santos on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil. So a lot of guys don't even realize that Thiago Santos, like, you know, the guy that fought John Jones, Thiago Santos, right? Like, they don't realize that guy started on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil and didn't win. So he won a couple fights. You know, Richardson won a couple fights on season 3. And then he lost some fights in the UFC he lost to Vitor Miranda, who's a super tough guy. And he lost to Marcos Rogério de Lima, who, you know, again, he's a, you know, big tough heavyweight that was in the UFC for a while. You know, and then, yeah, so he was out of the UFC for a little bit. He didn't compete for a while, and he started fighting again a couple years ago. And he's kind of, you know, he's 1-1 since he started fighting again. You know, he's not a super old guy. He's still a guy that's.
But he's had a couple of fights in the last year or two, right? So.
Yeah. So
right.
I think his last fight was, it was like late 2020.
Okay.
So yeah, so he's not a guy that's been out of the cage forever. He's a guy that, you know, it's not always easy to get fights at, you know, if you're a 205-pound guy, it can be tough to find matchups. So he's been actively trying to fight, and you know, he's had a couple. I mean, he's had a fight since fights started up again, since, you know, from COVID.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And if you go up and down the guy's record, you know, his overall record is 8-5. But if you look up and down his record, I mean, you can't find a guy with a losing record on his record. You know, like everybody that he fought, just about. I think there might be one guy with a losing record in his entire career that he fought. You know, so he's a super tough guy, still super legit. And, you know, he actually beat a 10-4 guy on one of the Nogueira shows down in Brazil. So, you know, that's one of his more recent fights. He beat that guy, you know, again on one of Nogueira's shows.
So, is he going to be? Is he going to be traveling from Brazil? Is he in the States
no,
training?
He's here. So
okay.
he actually trains down in Florida. Out of, again, I'm gonna forget the name, but it's Big Nog School down in Florida. So it sounds like he's gonna be there cornering Moreira for the fight. So we actually, we've got a, you know, if you're a fan of old school Brazilian MMA and a fan of you know, UFC fighters and things like that, like Glover Teixeira should be in the building.
Yeah, exactly.
Potentially both Nogueira brothers.
That's cool.
Jay-Z Cavalcante will be there. So yeah, we've got a lot of guys that are, you know, that are going to be there cornering some of their fighters. So, but either way, I think it's always, anytime you can get two UFC vets to fight each other, it's always fun.
Especially Fabio's a big draw. He's a big popular dude in New England. The guy's got like a huge following on Instagram and wherever he goes. Good dude. He's got a good storyline on his upbringing as far as, you know, getting into fighting.
Veteran.
And, you know, everything. He's a good dude, man. So good to see him back. Not good to see him out of the UFC.
Hopefully he's not here for long.
Yeah, you could be that guy, you know, that promotion that gets him back in there. So that's cool.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And it's kind of funny how that happened too, right? Because like what you had talked about earlier, where, you know, people see the event and their buddies fight on the event and then they start talking. So he's really good friends with Mike Bulger, and Bulger fought on the last one. So where it looks like Bulger's going to be on this one as well. We're finalizing the opponent now. We're just waiting. I guess one of his coaches was out of town. And again, he's another guy. Good luck fighting that fucking guy. Have you seen Mike Bulger fight?
No.
Yeah.
When was his last fight?
Well, so prior to June,
his
last MMA fight was, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. So he was 2-0 amateur MMA, and then he took a couple pro boxing fights, and you know, he won his 2 pro boxing fights by first round knockout, and then his first pro MMA fight was a first round knockout. And like, he looks the part. Like, you see the guy, like, I mean, if you pull up his Instagram and shit, he looks like, you know, there'll be pictures of him and like looking like Scarface with a cigar in his mouth and shit. And like, he's, you know, I think he's a personal trainer, so he's, you know, he's jacked. Like, he looks the part. He can, like, his hands are phenomenal. So, I mean, he's going to be a guy that I think we're going to see a long time, you know, the local MMA scene. You know, and Mike fought on the card, and he's out of that same gym as Oval, right? A lot of those guys kind of cross-train at Hard Knocks Muay Thai, and they also spend some time down at Lozon's gym, I believe. Like, again, I never know who's cross-training where.
Yeah, I know. Jake Manini is the head striking coach at Hard Knocks, and yeah, they all affiliated with Lozon's. They all get work on there in sparring days.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you never know who from the gyms are going where, so I don't want to say that Mike's a Lozon guy. Like, for all I know, he hasn't been there in years. But yeah, so their coach Billy Raz is the guy who I work with to get those guys on the show, and Mike fought on the show, and again, that was another one that I didn't even realize Fabio was out of the UFC. I got a phone call, and it was, Fabio's interested in taking something locally. You know, we really liked what your show, you know, kind of what you guys did in June. Some of his friends fought on the card. They had positive things to say. You know, and the conversation was actually about, like, is there a way to make this work? Mm-hmm. You know, like how could we make this work financially? Because we can't, like, obviously we you know, we can't take a tough fight on your show for $1,000. So,
yeah, exactly.
So how do we make this work? Like, can we figure something out with, like, a you know, bigger percentage of ticket sales, maybe a, you know, like how, like, what have you guys done in the past? How do we make this work? So that was like, so that very first phone call wasn't even like, it wasn't, hey, let us know if you have anything. It was, we'd like to fight on the show. Can we try to figure out how to make it work financially? So like, he was one of the only guys that we negotiated purse with before we even started looking for opponents, just to make sure we could
Lock him
get
in.
it done. And
Yeah.
And then from there it was pretty easy to get him a fight, actually.
Yeah.
It's funny, those are the guys that are easier for me. Like if I'm trying to find like just tough opponents, like super easy to get fights booked. It's the guys that are a little more, that are a little more careful, or the guys that are looking for a particular type of opponent, or not wanting to get not necessarily looking to fight another guy that fought in the UFC. Like when it's a guy like Fabio, I mean, I think I text one guy, and it's actually the guy who manages a lot of Glover Teixeira's fighters, and he works with Jay-Z Cavalcante in their management company, and again, so Richardson Moreira is someone from that management company, and it was like one text message, and it was, yeah, we've got him. This is what it's going to take to get it done, and
let's go.
Like within, like it took me probably like a 15-minute conversation with Fabio's coach and a few text messages with Richardson's team, and we were done.
I know. I know when Fabio was, fighting in the UFC, he was training at Sanford, correct?
Yeah.
Is he still there, or is he back in the New England area training again?
So I believe he's still down there.
Yep.
It's not clear to me if he lives there full time or if he just does his fight camps there. They told me he's not going to need hotel rooms when he's here.
Okay.
So, again, I don't know if he still has a place up here that he lives and he just bounces down there for his fight camps, or if he's just got, buddies that have a spare bedroom. But I honestly don't know. I didn't dig into it too hard. I know that he's doing his training down there. Most of his friends are still here. And again, it was the guys out of, that I mentioned. It was Billy who got me in touch with him, so I'm pretty excited about it. That's going to be a fun one.
Very exciting fight.
We've got, I don't want to announce everything all at once. We're going to do it over the next couple weeks. You'll see stuff come out.
Yeah, I don't want to get everything on there. We got to kind of wind down. Rick, when we spoke about you coming on, you're like, hey, how long does it usually take? I'm like, oh, we usually go like 20, 25. I mean, you're a encyclopedia of information here, and you're throwing beans at us. I don't want to let you go, but you did say I've been on podcasts 1 to 2 hours, man, and you can talk, my man. I love it.
Well, I wasn't kidding. Where I said I'll keep you here till midnight if you let me. I don't stop.
How when you come on the show with Joe? How does he does he get a word in, or is it like what goes on there?
Yeah, he's actually got much cooler stories than me.
All right, so we'll have to.
Like I've got some fun stories. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was at the Kimbo Gannon fight, so I've got some fun ones. I've got some interesting ones, but Joe's stories are so much better than mine. Like he's got stories about you'll have to ask him about the time that Chuck Liddell fought a dude at a hotel, that you'll have to have Joe tell you the thing. It's one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. There was just some bellman who was like, yeah, I can beat Chuck Liddell up. And then they went into a random room at the hotel, and it was like, take your shirt off, you're fighting. And
People throw it.
You're fighting the fucking hotel guy.
There's money changing hands everywhere.
Oh, that's a good shirt.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't even money changing hands. It was just a funny story where Joe's hanging out with Chuck Liddell in a hotel, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna fight the bellman. He thinks he can beat you in a fight.
So
it's like, what?
Rick, last thing, I'm gonna leave off. But I just showed a couple of pictures. There's a picture of you here with Kenny Florian, Joe Lozon, McGannon. Who else is there? Mark Delagra. I got an arrow on your head, so everyone knows you're a lot younger back then. This had to be what, around 2000? When was?
I mean, yeah, that's what happens, right? I mean, that photo is probably from 15 years ago.
So I would imagine this is around from 2007 or something. You got
So I mean, if I'm 41 now, right? We subtract, if that's from 17 years ago, whatever it is. Like, yeah, I was probably, 25 in the photo, 26 maybe.
Yeah, just like
Something like
the people in this picture is fucking nuts.
Happens
It's
quick.
nuts.
Yeah, we used to have a lot of that at our
Yeah.
events, man. I mean, and some of it, again, like some of it we just kind of get lucky, right? Like it's not like I mean, again, when it was Kimbo, yeah, we decided to fly Kimbo in, right? Like we didn't have a reason to have him there other than like it'll be pretty cool if Kimbo's here and signs autographs. But again, you'll have to have Joe tell stories about that, right? Like Joe is ultimately who introduced Kimbo's manager to the UFC, and like he's like he didn't like set up the deal or anything, but it was like he was managing Gannon at the time, so he got Gannon into the UFC after that, and when Kimbo got on the like he helped their manager kind of get in touch with the UFC, and so he's done a bunch of like really cool shit. So yeah, his stories are way better than mine. So when the two of us are on a podcast, he's always got something that's like way more fun, like way more nostalgic, and but yeah, as far as the other guys in the photos, like yeah, Rampage Jackson was at one of our events, and he was there to corner Mike Dolce because Mike Dolce fought Nuri Shakir.
Jesus.
So it was like we didn't.
Mike Dolch, the diet, the nutrition guy. Oh Jesus, man, these fucking names.
He was on Ultimate Fighter.
It was after he was on the Ultimate Fighter. He fought Nuri Shakir on our card. I think he stopped Nuri with strikes if I remember correctly. And so yeah, we always had just pretty good luck getting guys to the events. Like, I'm trying to think of some of the other examples, but I mean, we've again, Shane Burgos was at our last event. Nobody knew it. We've had a bunch of things like that where, guys are, cornering fighters or there to support their buddies. And,
did Shane just is he the one that got signed to PFL? That's not him, is it? PFL?
It is, yeah.
Oh, wow, man. Cool things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one Dana said we fucked up because they didn't re-sign him. Fuck. That's all right. He'll make so much more money probably with PFL.
Yep.
Yeah, he will, and hopefully his pay without being a tournament winner is enough for him to make a ton of money, right? Yeah. Because I think a lot of guys are attracted to the PFL because, okay, if I win this tournament, I can win $1 million. But we see the guys that are winning it, like it looks super easy when it's again, I forget the guy's name, the 185 pounder. I always remember their nicknames, like, because Brazilian guys all have cool nicknames. So Shoeface is the kid's name.
Good enough for me.
That's good.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what I can't remember his actual name, but when he was in the UFC, he's a guy that, had lost a few fights in a row and got cut, and then is in PFL. And I think he won it twice. Right. So, I mean, let's just say I'm wrong and it's only once. He still won $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. So I think a lot of guys see that and they're like, oh, well, if that guy who, lost some fights in the UFC, got released from the UFC, like that wasn't a situation where PFL like dragged him away on a winning streak. Like it was the UFC released him. He signed over there and he happened to win it. I think a lot of guys see that and they're like, they see that, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Anthony Pettis hasn't won. He hasn't won the tournament.
But I'm sure he's making money in these like the way his contract is structured and just like Shane, I'm sure they gave him an incentive and there's some things going on per fight here.
He said something about, I think his quote was, when I win the tournament next year, I'm going to be a multimillionaire.
All right.
So that tells me he's at least making $1 million outside of the tournament.
Yeah, and there's another thing. He's got sponsors. He can do everything, like so much more as far as that social media sponsorships that he can't do with the UFC. So that's another.
They can all do this stuff on social, like so they just can't wear the stuff on Fight Week.
Yeah,
like that's the big difference, right? So I think a lot of these guys still end up making a ton of money. Yeah. I don't know how it works with some of the other, sponsorships, but yeah, when they can't wear their stuff into the cage and they can't really rep it on Fight Week, because their contracts will say like, you have to be in
this gear and
like anything UFC related. If you're here for an interview, you're wearing Venom. If you're here, like if you're on like UFC Countdown, you're wearing Venom. Like, so it, so yeah, I'm sure it definitely, they're still getting impacted by it, but yeah, he'll do, he'll make, he said the numbers were way better and it made sense for him to take it. So, I tend to believe him, but
there you go.
Hopefully even without winning the tournament, because it's, I think it's hard to win, to win that many fights in a row, like, especially like you see the consistency in which they fight. Like, when's the last time Anthony Pettis fought that consistently?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, fighting for the UFC, you're fighting, some of them every 6 months,
Right. And in many cases, though, it's not even like the guys in the UFC are turning down fights because they're dealing with injuries. But they know that if they don't take a fight on this date, then all of a sudden I'm essentially going to be pulled from the tournament, right? Like if I can't, like, because they have to rack up enough points so like it incentivizes them. It's a really cool model. It incentivizes them to actually stay active, right? But again, on the downside, a lot of these guys are probably fighting a little more dinged up than they were when they were in the UFC.
And let's talk, they're not in their prime like they were. So, I mean, injuries and bang-ups last a little longer when you're a little older at this point. Last thing, bro. I mean, we got to cut you off. I gotta go to work in the morning. Anything you could tell me about this show that is going to be different in your eyes than the last show? What stands out that you think is going to be kind of leaps and bounds from that first show that's going to show off in this show?
Jesus, I don't know, man. Like, I thought the last show went pretty fucking good. So no, I would say one thing that's going to be a lot different is, our approach to social media is going to be a lot different beforehand, because we actually have stuff we can show now.
Yeah.
We had no highlight videos, right? We had no photos.
Reels.
We had all we had was stuff from 10 or 12 years prior for guys that weren't fighting on the show. So it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to really, to show old highlights of, in a ring and, on, like, you could tell the difference when you're watching an old video, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it'd make the event look worse. So no, that's going to be something that's going to be vastly different. I mean, we're going to be doing a lot more there to promote the event. Those are the things that, like, we see some of the other shows, they got good at certain things quick, and then they continue to add things to the show as they go. We're not really going to be adding anything from a production standpoint, because we already started with, like, we did everything we could. There was no stone left unturned there. Like, we went and got the best commentator we could get. We hired one, best production company we could get. All the graphics, all the lighting, all the camera guys. Like, there's really, not much. I don't think we're really going to change anything there. That's all going to look exactly the same. So the Fight Pass product is going to look exactly the same. You'll see more like more guys like Jake Pilla on this show.
Yeah, that was going to be my, Fabio Serrant. You have, excuse me, Rico Duschuler is a great drawer, and you said you might have him on the card again. But I mean,
he said he wants to be on the card for sure, and he's agreed to opponents that fell through. So I don't see why he won't be on the show. And there are some other guys too that, some names that haven't fought in a little while that are, like, very, very exciting. And I'm excited that they want to get back in there. So there are, again, one of them I've got booked, but again, I can't announce everything today. And like again, someone who hasn't fought in a long time, but when you see his name pop up, you're like, oh shit, I can't believe he's fighting again.
Nice.
Guy with like I want to say his record something like 8-2 or 9-2, and like very well-known guy that everybody would know.
My light bulb's going off right now.
I'll text it to you. I'll tell you who it is. I just don't want to announce it. I was gonna say, can hit you on Messenger while you're here. Look,
he can't
so
stop.
You'll be biting your tongue.
He can't stop.
Dude, well, that's the thing. We got a lot going on, man.
I know you do. I mean, you're excited about it. It's your second show back, man, and you came out like fucking like a herd of turtles the first show. I mean, you know, Joe Cab's back, you know, and and all of a sudden you're on Fight Pass, and like, you know, this is how you light the wick, bro. You start with that first show, and now they're coming to you. You're like the Pied Piper.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a lot of fights. There's gonna be a lot of interesting guys on there that you know, we're taking a different approach to it, and in like we're trying to get back to the point where, I mean, on the last events we were doing more than 2,000 people regularly. And you have to do a lot of things right to get 2,500 people, 3,000 people in the venue. So we figured out the production stuff on the first one, and we kind of got that locked in. We built kind of a strong foundation there, and now we're working on all the other things to kind of round it out. So I would say, from a visual eye to the paying customer, you're probably not going to see, like, visually, it's going to look very, very similar to the last one. It's going to be the same production company, same lighting, same graphics, same color schemes. Like, we want it to look the same every time.
Yeah.
Like, we want it to be recognizable. But yeah, you'll see a lot of different fighters. You know, the amount of people that we got on this one is crazy. Like, the amount of fights that I have to turn down, like that. It's like I'd love to have you, but I can't. Like, we're already at 20 or 21. So yeah, you'll see a much bigger card, and you know, you'll see some more recognizable names on this one.
Excellent. Well, I know you mentioned that tickets are going to be going on sale. What, in a week or two?
Yeah, so it could be as early as Friday. It's you know, with the ticket company, like, we've given them all of our information, and we don't like to like, when they tell us they're ready to go, we just press go. You know, like, we don't then wait, like, oh, okay, you're ready to go. Let's wait until Tuesday at 9 a.m. Like as soon as they process what they need to process on their end and tell us that they're ready to go on sale, we push the button.
Yeah. Why waste time?
Yeah.
Let's sell them now.
Right. Exactly. So I would say you can expect to see, like, worst case scenario, you can start to see fight announcement posters going out early next week. You know, you'll see, like, you know, like, some of our promotional stuff going out, like the announcements about tickets being on sale, the emails, the social, like, all that stuff's gonna be kicking off next week. So
Excellent. Well, one thing I want to, you know, I'm going to have you throw all your social media out, everything like that. I have your Instagram here as far as for combatfc.tv.
yeah.
But as far as I forgot my goddamn point. Forget it. You got something you want to? I'll think of it. So ask him something.
No,
Let me get
I
out.
mean, I remember watching all those old ones, and I'm glad you guys are back. And the last product was cool, so I'm looking forward to seeing all these fights, man.
Oh, one thing, Rick, I didn't introduce you to Tommy. Tommy is my co-host on Wednesday night, the live podcast. He actually trains at Triforce.
Yep.
He's as far as jiu-jitsu, he's a 3-stripe blue belt,
Yep,
correct?
yep, put in
so
the
he
work.
trains with all those guys, John Dumas, he's Nate
Dion.
Andrews coming in, Dion, Rubio, and all those. So
They're my friends.
So yeah,
Hey, geez, I'm glad I didn't shit on it.
I wouldn't have, you know, we try to stay kind of biased, so it's hard to shit on those guys. You know, they're good.
Yeah, no, they're all good guys. I'm actually I was trying to get one of your guys on the show, but I couldn't find anyone for him yet. And of course, why did I have to even say that? Because now I'm not going to be able to remember
because
his
I
name.
forgot what I was going to say and all that.
Active duty military, blue belt in jiu-jitsu, 155 pounds.
Yeah, redhead, Ben Bracco.
Oh, Ben Bracco.
Is that?
No.
I don't
No.
think that's what it was.
No.
Amateur debut?
Tyram? No.
Here he
no.
is.
Give me 3 seconds. Of course, I had to bring that up.
Angel Martinez.
Yeah, there was a guy. I'm terrible with names. That's why I write everything down.
Shahib.
And this is the guy he was thinking of trying to get for the show?
Yeah.
No, it was Sahib Jackson.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
just
the
said.
guy that-
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, so
Sahib's a good guy. Sahib,
Yeah.
I've seen fight a ton of smokers for Wishes Smokers. He actually holds a couple of titles, I think, for
Yeah.
the smoker shows in the New England area.
yeah, he was someone that I offered his name to a bunch of guys. I'm still actively looking. Like, we're still matching fights. So, but he was one of the guys that that Pete gave me his name, saying, "Hey, let's see if we can get his amateur debut going." But yeah, I haven't found anyone for him yet. Still actively looking.
Cool.
So if anybody watching the podcast wants to fight at 155 pounds, amateur debut, right? So
very cool.
So yeah, he was looking to get on there, and yeah, I remember those guys from years ago, like when Pete and Keith, we did a calendar a million years ago for Mass MMA, and those guys were in the calendar.
Oh, jeez.
Of course, Keith was in there, right?
Yeah. It was a fun calendar too.
He could be on the cover.
Have them anymore. They probably do.
I'm gonna have to ask him about that.
We had a bunch of girls that so we had like a girl Kimura Keith or something like that. Like
that's fucking
that was like
awesome.
The picture. Yeah,
dude, you guys were like the forefathers of this shit.
Yeah,
man. You got to come out with this stuff again.
We got to get a hand on those calendars.
We need another calendar for fucking Combat FC, 2023.
There's just too much shit to work on.
I know.
We've got so much to do. Like there's so many things that we want to do, and I'm getting emails right now from like a marketing company that we're talking. Like there's just so much stuff to do. And I work full time, right? Like I've got this is Joe's full time thing.
Yeah.
But I work full time. So I'm doing this like while
on
I'm
the
conference
side
calls at work.
Yeah,
I'm like muting my phone and I'm like responding to text messages.
I'm the same way. Like I'm not as busy as you, but at work I'm doing all this pre-editing and shit for the show and stuff like that. But Rick, I forgot my goddamn question, so we're gonna have to save it for the fucking next time I have you on with Joe Cav. It was a good one. I forgot what the hell it was, but with that said, social media, how we get in touch, how we buy tickets and all that.
We're trying to make it easy for everybody. It's combatfc.tv on all platforms. We've got a TikTok that like 7 people follow. I've started putting we've basically any of the stuff we post on Instagram, we post on TikTok first because I'm like social media illiterate, and the only way I know how to add music to a highlight video is to choose it from TikTok. So I basically upload them on TikTok so that I can add the music, and then I just post that video on our other social media. I really should figure that shit out, but again,
you will, man. You will. You'll hire an intern to do it for you.
Right,
there
exactly. We'll get Mike Bloomberg's nephew again. So yeah, we've got a TikTok page that I'm exaggerating. I think we got 300 followers or something, and but we're mostly just like, I want to make sure that we have a lot of videos there so that as we start building the brand out more and people come to our page, they actually want to, they want to follow us.
And that you want content. You need to add content, and it's happening.
Right. Yeah, we need to have the content there because again, if we tell people to go join it, follow our TikTok page now, and they go there, and we've got, I think we've got probably 10 or 15 videos, but. The more we build out the content, the easier it'll be.
What I remember, I was going to say is, I don't know who controls or who manages the Combat FC business page, but I know somebody was sharing some of that stuff to our New England MMA group page. No one ever does that. No one knows that group page is for anyone to share. You could share anyone. You guys utilized it though when you guys were promoting the last card. I don't know who it was, but it was Joe. Yeah, he kept sharing stuff, and I love it, man. I wish more promotions, more fighters. It's a group page. I mean, even though we have to okay the post because we don't want people putting cocks on there, and you know what I mean, stupid spam and shit like that. But that page is
funny story about that.
You want to tell it now before I let you go, or is it going to take 3 hours? What's going on?
I'll give you the quick version.
All right, go ahead, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, so there was back when we were running Northeast MMA, there was another page that popped up. I forget what they were called, but they were basically doing the same exact thing we were. And we were like we were posting like fight posters. We had everything on our page. We had it all over the place. And I went on their website one morning, and I noticed that they posted the same exact graphic we did. And I right-clicked it, and I realized, oh, they're actually just pointing to our website. So the graphic that they had in like 3 different places on their website that was someone else's fight poster was actually hosted on our website. So what we did was we put it on the, like, we hid that page, and then there's like a, there's like a pretty famous photo that like people will send in group chats when they're trying to be disgusting. Like, it's a photo of like 3 old dudes blowing each other.
Awesome. I haven't got that
Yeah.
yet.
I don't know if I know that.
Using Kevin McDonald sends me all that good stuff, but I haven't got that one
exactly.
yet.
Like, I've seen one that's like I'll get one that's like a pool party of like these old guys, or it's like 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 2 old guys making out, and one of the dudes is blowing it. So like, and like these are like 75, 80-year-old men. Like, it's a photo that like, that was something that Biggie found, and so we, on the back end of our website, we changed it to that photo. So our competitor's website, and it was for like half a day. There were just photos of like old dudes blowing each
Penises.
other all over their
Fucking
website.
old wrinkled
And,
penises.
Yeah, and so it was like, and it's funny because they actually like I'm actually really friendly with the guys who ran the website. So it was Tim O'Connor and Brian Bradbury were the guys who ran the website. I don't think they've been around for a little while, but Tim was a really cool guy, and he actually has talked about it. Like I've run into him since then, and he's like, that was really, really funny.
Yeah.
It was like,
Good joke.
he's like, that was hysterical. Like, instead of like, like, you got your point across. Like, post our own pictures.
Yeah,
don't steal your bandwidth.
Don't
We
mirror
got it.
our shit.
Exactly.
But it was, so it was just funny. Like, we had a lot of fun with it, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are having the same kind of fun.
Yeah,
with
like
that.
Travis and Lars, we have our own like little Facebook Messenger little thing, and we see like little things like either they take something here or there, and we just there's photo there's screenshots all over the place, like through our conversations. We rag on everyone. It's fucking good stuff, but it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's a fun scene to be a part of.
Nothing gets by us because there's 3 of us and we're everywhere. And if something does, I'm at the point right now, people send me screenshots. Like, I don't even ask for them. They'll send me screenshots of like conversations. It's just good stuff. We know everything over here in New England MMA.
Eyes and ears everywhere.
We just don't know all the matchups for Combat FC too. That's all.
Yeah,
We will.
I'll
We
text
will.
you some of them.
No.
I'll send you some on Messenger.
Yeah,
after
do
we
it.
wrap up.
I keep the beans to myself. I'm sure Lars knows a bunch of them too, but I don't ask them because I let them. It's like
he's
hey,
an
listen,
interesting guy,
it's
isn't he?
it's like Christmas with them guys. They like send me or they'll send me a fighter. Hey, can you check this guy out on Tapology or whatever. Like, I'm kind of the outside looking in, and them guys are just having a fucking party.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was joking with Lars. I was like, I'm not sure if I was joking with him. Like, I don't know if you realize that you're like when you've had a few beers, you're like completely bipolar, right? Because I talked to him twice one night when he was drinking, and he was like, the first conversation, it was, oh my God, I can't believe you got so-and-so to fight again. That's amazing. Like, I can't wait. That's awesome. And then like 20 minutes later, he called me back, and like he forgot that I told him that the fight was going. And then like I told him that, but we just talked about this. I booked so-and-so. And he's like, why would you book him? Like, he hasn't fought in so long.
Same
He's not
person.
relevant. And it's like,
That's
like
how
20 minutes ago you were pumped about it.
Now that's how we're talking. Like, Travis might say, all cool about the matchup, and I'll come in like, what the fuck? Where's this guy coming out of the woodwork? What are you talking about? So we're always going like that, and then we bust everyone's balls. You know what I mean? We don't. We fighters' balls. People that talk shit about us. We're all over.
Yeah,
them.
me
you know.
too. I'm the same way.
It's New England MMA. You know how it goes.
Exactly.
It's a small place. So, Rick, I gotta let you go, man. We've been going for
All right,
fucking
man.
like 2 fucking hours, dude. You said that too. Holy shit!
was a good one.
Great podcast, my man. Well, Rick, I'm gonna throw it on Spotify tomorrow. But I appreciate you coming on, man. Let's say like 3 weeks before the event, we'll have you and Joe on together. I'll get some of his stories, and we'll talk about some of these matchups in depth. And
all the shit I announced probably won't even be happening.
yeah, it'll all be changed. Yeah, exactly.
They'll all drop.
No,
Fucking
so,
by
yeah, we'll have a lot of fun
by
sometime.
then, Matt Denning might be fighting Fabio Charette. We don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Fabio will be back in the
We got
UFC.
Matt fighting someone else already, so
Yeah.
hopefully that fight stays together.
We'll see. All right, my
All right,
man.
we'll talk soon, man. Thanks
Yeah,
a lot.
Rick, thank you
Nice
so
seeing you,
much for
man.
coming on. We'll definitely talk to you soon, bro. Pleasure, bro.
All right.
You take care. That was fucking awesome. Good
Yeah.
dude, man.
Smart.
Dude, definitely fucking smart. I'm not smart, but he's fucking smart. Tommy, I left you here for a while, man. We went, but I got a nice fucking blunt for us to get out. So with that said, listen, I don't know what's going on. Next week we'll be back. We'll probably be recapping the Cage Titans fucking card.
Yeah.
Matt Smith is the guy who hasn't fought in a while. He can't tell me.
I was just gonna say, don't read it out loud.
Here. With that said, next week we will be recapping Cage Titans.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, Cage Titans.
Good luck to everyone fighting this weekend.
IG Iron Man Grappling Championships. And maybe we'll have another guest on. I don't know. But we'll see.
Maybe someone who won this weekend.
Yeah, maybe one of your guys.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll have him, maybe we'll have him right here.
We should.
All right.
They would.
Friend.
I'm friends with them.
With that said, Tommy Shaheed,
Always
thank
nice,
you,
man.
man,
You're welcome.
for
Thank
coming
you.
on again, as always. We will be back next week,
We will.
and we'll see you later, people.